Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Marquee. We are going to enjoy your cooperation tonight as we rank all of the theatrically released Batman movies. We are the Cinefanatics. My name's Robert Adams.
I am Chris Adams.
And joining us on this very special Marquee, we have returning to the Cinefanatics, Miss Tori Rose. Hello, ma'am. How are you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm good. I'm here to talk about the Batman.
Why did we turn Russian all of a sudden? This is probably not the best time to turn Russian.
That was Scandinavian, thank you.
Oh,
And
okay.
the reason she left the Cinefanatics comes out.
I am Scandinavian. I'm allowed to use that accent.
And also joining us would be Mr. Andres Gallego.
Ghost.
Gallego. So yes. I'm sitting here real quick all day today. I've been sitting there talking to my customers over the phone, like helping them with their bills and whatnot. I'm like, hi, thank you for calling. My name's Robert. How can I help you, Gallego? Yeah, so I see your bill's too high, Gallego. Is there anything we could do, Gallego? Like, I am prepared for this.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just did another podcast yesterday talking about the Batman as well. And like literally when it came up to my name, they were like, so how do you say your name again? I'm like, okay, I'm taking it back this time, guys. It's a reboot.
Golly, go.
Anyways, we are not here to rank our preferred way of pronouncing his last name. We're here to rank Batman movies.
Wait, no, I want to do the first one.
I know.
Fun.
Before we get started with this, let's real quick. Tori, why do you like Batman?
So many reasons. I was 10 years old when The Dark Knight came out. And I remember my family and I went to the IMAX theater at the mall, and they were like, Tori, we're going to go see a Batman movie. And I was like, ugh, because my understanding of Batman by that point was like very cheesy Adam West Batman. Mm-hmm. And when I was 10 years old, I was already angsty. And I was like, I don't want to go see some campy, like, pow, blast boy thing. Yeah. So I was really dreading it. And then I saw The Dark Knight, and it's still my favorite movie. I went and saw it like 5 times in theaters. I made people take my 10-year-old self, and I was like, Dad, who I don't even talk to, take me to go see The Dark Knight. I like made my babysitter take me. I just loved it. I just love I get a lot of inspiring thoughts from Batman about like what justice is, what power is, what a superhero is. Like the whole like philosophy of not killing someone, but then does it still make it right? And like using your money and power to do what you can, but does that even make it right? And it just like really inspires me a ton. I think Gotham is fascinating. I think the villains are fascinating. They're fantastic. They're entertaining. Batman is just very entertaining and fun for me. And so that's really where my base of loving it comes from.
Awesome. Andres, let's ask you what your favorite burrito topping is. And no, what we'll stick with the same question just to keep it on track. Why do you like Batman?
But also the burrito topping thing.
But also the burrito toppings later.
The burrito toppings, I will get it right out of the way right now. Chorizo, fight me on it right now. Anyways,
can't disagree with that logic.
Yeah. But no, Batman in particular for me, he's one of those characters that piggybacking off of everything Tori said so well, where it's like, it's such a very inspirational story where it's like, Batman's villains, in terms of when it's done correctly, he's not trying to kill you or he's not trying to beat you. He's trying to rehabilitate you. I mean, whether or not that means throwing you in jail or throwing you in Arkham Asylum or making you into a paraplegic, that's debatable. But overall, just I really
he has a medical degree.
Yeah, right. Like I just really love Batman top to bottom. One of the more interesting designs for a suit as well too. Interesting concept. And then just personally for me, Batman always has like such a strong attachment for me because I grew up watching the animated series. And really, Batman is sort of the reason why I do what I do today. I mean, because when I mean, I've told this story so many times, but like Batman and Dark Knight is so near and dear to me because it is essentially, I credit working on the Dark Knight set as something that forwarded me in my filmmaking career and stuff like that.
You worked on the Dark Knight set?
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yes. Okay. Yes, I did.
So the Patreon exclusive for this, after we're done, we're going to keep recording and hear all about Andres working on the Dark Knight set.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll be sure to do that. But apart from that, the character's always meant so much to me, and it's always just kind of always come right back to DC in terms of my love for heroes. And even though Superman's my favorite, Batman's still like really my favorite.
You worked on the Dark Knight set?
Corey's like, shut up to me about the Dark Knight set.
Yeah,
that's like what you put on your tombstone. Like, you're done. Like, you don't need to do anything else.
Here lies Andres Gallego. It's pronounced Gallego. He worked on the Dark Knight set.
He worked on that. Yeah, like, oh my goodness. It's always interesting whenever I go to job interviews and they're like, it says on your IMDb that you worked on the Dark Knight. Yeah, that's true. That's awesome. Anyways.
Chris.
What's up?
You like Batman, right?
Yeah, he's all right.
Oh, okay. What do you like about him?
Honestly, like, the thing about Batman I like the most is the Rogues Gallery. He's got one of the best lineups of villains, all with their own unique personalities, their own unique quirks, all of which when up against Batman, like the juxtaposition of them against Batman is, I think, some of the best in comic book history, as well as movie, film, TV show, cartoon, like all of that. He's just all around, just covers all the bases of everything that we should know and love about a superhero and his villains.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he has like the best Rogues Gallery, followed by Spider-Man, followed by Darkwing Duck. So followed by Captain Planet and the Planeteers.
Mudman.
Art.
Yeah. Fire. Anyways, my favorite thing about Batman, just to keep it short, I just like the fact he's a normal dude. Like, he's normal. Pretty much anyone with I guess, access to his money and his technology, almost anyone with the proper training could be Batman. And that's one of the greatest things is this was Batman came out in what, 1938, 1939, I believe. There were superheroes were not prevalent at this time. Really, the only major superhero that was known was Superman, and he was an alien. He wasn't human. So this was the first time we got a superhero that was a human being dressed up in a mask, for the most part. I know there were other, like, at this time, there was like a lot of superheroes like on the radio. I think you had like maybe Green Hornet at the time. You had the superheroes from like classic literature like Robin Hood and stuff. That definitely, I feel like Batman takes a lot from a lot of those like classic literature heroes and the radio heroes. But yeah, this was like the first one that people really rallied behind that you could see yourself as. And that's what I like about it. So yeah, if I ever become a billionaire, I would probably be the person who would become Batman. Or I would just sit my lazy ass in front of the TV and computer and watch Schmodown all day. I don't know. One of the two.
Just be honest. Just be honest, you'd be Lex Luthor.
Actually, well, with the exception of the shaving my head, I was in the military. I know what I look like bald. It's not pretty. Probably not. I'd be the Lex Luthor that doesn't remove his hair that everyone just like complains about in the movies. Like, he's not bald. Whatever. Anyways,
in the first half.
I'm only here for Batman talk. I'm not here for Lex Luthor.
Yeah, exactly. So before we get this started, guys, y'all know the usual on YouTube, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. You got questions, comments, issues, you want to berate our opinions, feel free to let us know over on streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Also, patreon.com/cinefanatics. Join the tier that's right for you. This month in March, we do have a movie watch along, and we have the Patreon movie trivia hangout that is coming up. The Patreon watch along, there is going to be a poll, and it will be up on our Twitter at CinefanaticsMLP on Twitter. That will be up starting tomorrow. So if you're at the $5 due tier on our Patreon, you can join us for the watch along. There will be a Batman movie in there, I promise. Anyway, so that is coming up. Also, real quick, I want to say a shout out to everyone who's here in the chat with us. already as we get started. I see Commentating Nerd, Brennan Marr, Maxwell Haddad, Cam Shaft, Jeremy Miller, Galaghost, whoever that is. I see Malcolm in there, Albert Stillwell, and Fairs Muthana. Thank y'all all for being here as we get started. We are going to get started with the Marquee. This time, we're doing something a little bit different. After the last time we did the Marquee, there were a couple of issues in regards to like how the Marquee looked, the size of the Marquee, whether we could read the letters and whatnot. This has been fixed, y'all. This has been remedied, and I would like to introduce our brand new Marquee. But to do that, I have to introduce our little helper that's behind the scenes. His name is Carl.
Ooh, Carl.
Carl is awesome. Carl is great at doing everything, like flicking switches and giving us the thumbs up. Carl, help us out with this. Let's bring out the Marquee, will you, Carl? Welcome to the Marquee.
Hey.
Isn't it nice and big and easy to read? It's fantastic. What are you doing, Tori?
Don't worry about
awesome. It. That is great.
Yes.
I don't know what you mean.
Don't ask her how she got those scars.
Keep going.
I'm going to ask her how she got like the makeup all. I'm actually going to ask her where she got the star-shaped mirror.
It's a company that has like star-shaped stuff.
Awesome.
It was free. It was free if you bought it.
Are they Stars Are Us or Stars or Stars and More?
I don't want to say the name because they were problematic, but I bought this like 5 years ago. So.
Oh, okay. All right, then. Before we get started here, I do see we got a Streamlabs already from Ferris saying hello. Thank you for that Streamlabs donation there, Ferris. How generous of you.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate you being here, sir. Regardless of how much I joke, I actually do appreciate Ferris. So
he's a good dude.
I'm sorry.
Ferris Muthana.
Yeah,
we love that guy.
All right. Anyways, so here's how it's going to work. We've got 12 movies in the realm of theatrical Batman movies that we're going to be ranking. Because we have 12, that makes it nice and easy. We got 6 tiers. We are limiting this to 2 movies per tier. So if you're thinking that 2 movies should be A, one of them's either got to go S or one of them's got to go B, for example. Hey, Garth. Good to see you here, too.
Yeah. Hey, Garth.
Anyway,
doing better, dude.
This is all in chronological order. As you can see down there in the corner, we will be starting with Batman 66, which is going to be a lot of fun. And for those of y'all that are questioning, I know we've already had some people asking about this. Maxwell. Some people have already asked about this, so I want to clarify real quick. It's all the theatrically released Batman movies. This will not include the Killing Joke animated movie because that was released more as a Fathom event rather than an actual traditional theatrical run. Also, we are not including the Justice League movie because that's more about the Justice League rather than it being like centered on Batman. But all the other movies, especially if they have Batman's name in the title or some form of Batman, are going to be on here tonight. So anyways, let us get started. First one right off the bat. I didn't even plan that.
Batman.
I did not plan that, y'all.
Batman
would be Batman 1966. This would be the classic Adam West, Burt Ward, Cesar Romero, Burgess Meredith, Frank Gorshin, Lee Merriweather Batman movie. Let's go with, let's start from the bottom and work our way up. Andres, where would you like to put this, sir?
Well, I'd like to put this in. No, I'm going to stop that.
Is that a reusable straw that you're using as a cigarette holder because that's not good for the environment? Or
yeah, it's a reusable straw. It's metal.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Anyways, I actually really adore this movie quite a bit. It's cheesy in all the best ways. It's also oddly, apart from the Batman, it is probably the one that they lean the most on the detective element of Batman in terms of his character. So honestly, there's so much cheese to have with it. It's so deliciously wonderful in so many respects. But I can't necessarily put it at S, and I can't put it in the A tier for myself, but I would say it's the epitome of a B movie, and I say this in the best way possible. And I would say it's a B for me.
Okay. Real quick, something else I wanted to cover as we do this. Please keep in mind, especially if you're on Twitter, these are opinions of these movies. If you disagree, feel free to let us know in the chat. But I mean,
no, fight us, fight me, fight me.
Fight
me. Go ahead and fight the one that has like the makeup Glasgow smile going on right now, because that'll end well for you.
Yeah.
Tori, where are you going to put this movie at?
Hold on, I gotta quote something first. You think that this man runs around at night beating people up with his bare hands, and your plan is to blackmail this person? Good luck. I want that to be a more often used thing. It's such a good quote.
That is probably one of my favorite quotes from Morgan Freeman outside of like almost anything he says on in the Shawshank Redemption.
It's just like so shutting. Like anyway, we'll get there about that movie, but he's so good in it. So for this movie, I agree with everything Andre said. I look great. I think it's a perfect B movie. I think this is a perfect movie. Like, even if you don't like Batman, if you just want to watch like a goofy, dumb thing, I think it's great. But I also think as a Batman movie, which is something I'll talk about, like there is a difference between how you view it as a Batman movie, like whether something is a good Batman movie and whether something is a good movie. And I think that comes up with the Batman when we get there for me. This movie, I think, stands as both. I think it's a good B movie, but I also think it's a good B Batman movie. I think that the performances are classic. I think it inspired a lot of like following up superhero kind of stuff. I think it was like very just like comic based with how the comics were at the time. I think the Joker performance is great. He's like silly and weird, and people just loved it. Like my parents, I remember when I was obsessed with The Dark Knight, they talked about this show as like, they knew my mom, who didn't watch any superhero movies, knew who the Penguin was, knew who the Joker was. Like this really just like got it across into like pop culture. And so I think for that, like to me, it's a B movie. It'd be like a B lower end compared to the other ones. But I think it's a fun time regardless, and I think it's a necessary watch if you're a Batman fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just to clarify, also, we may at the very end of this move and shift things around, so just keep that in mind as we're ranking them. Chris, I know this is like your favorite movie ever. Where are you going to stick this?
I did just watch this for the first time the other night.
Ooh.
Such begins where everybody is going to hate Chris during this tier ranking. This is F for me. I am not on it. The corniness of it, I get it. It's a product of its time. It absolutely represented the Batman comics as they were back in that time period. It did not hit with me. There's some stuff in there that I like. The instant costume change lever, fantastic. That's a great gag. I love that.
We all need one of those. Like, why is it 2022 and we don't have that yet? I mean,
right.
But also bat repellent shark spray. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Here's the thing. A lot of it, like,
can y'all name the other ones?
This is we're talking about opinions. No, stop it. This is opinions. We're talking about where this lies with me right now. And a lot of this just wore real thin for me real quick. It's not that I don't love good fun. It's not that I don't love like campiness every now and then, but there were certain scenes, especially like the one where like all the powder of the world leaders or whatever is just constantly rocking back and forth on that table while they're hitting the sub with the shockwave. I'm sitting here, I'm like, why is this scene 10 frigging minutes long? This should be, should be 20 seconds.
Like, I love that ending too.
Yeah, Yeah, spoiler alert for a movie came out in 1966. They all come back to life and they're all speaking different languages. That is hilarious.
It had to not be completely harsh. It had some really good fun moments. It was funny in places. It was good fun. But I will say, it's not the kind of Batman I'm into. I'm not into the campy, cheesy Batman. I want the more darker stuff. So this is for me, and I understand if we're not going to end it. Put it in the F tier. I understand that. For me, it's an F tier.
I like Ryan Payne's idea here.
Maybe I needed some edibles. Maybe that was what I was missing.
You just gotta let go and just
Couple
accept
drinks.
all the gifts we got out of this. Like,
Yeah.
it's good.
So I mean, I will agree in some cases. Like some of this, I feel like, and I had this conversation with my brother after he watched it. I was like, some of it, I feel like, does kind of depend on when you were introduced and approached Batman, and then I guess kind of like what your personality is for it. Like for me, I didn't actually start watching Batman movies till probably like Batman Forever, because of like my age at the time and the darker nature of Batman 89 and Batman Returns. It just wasn't something that I feel like our parents were like eager to let me watch immediately. But especially like Penguin biting off someone's nose and whatnot. We'll talk about that with Returns. But like I did watch, I remember when I was a kid, the Family Channel exists, and there was the Batman TV show was on the Family Channel like every weekday afternoon as soon as I get home from school. So I remember I used to watch that all the time, and I loved the Batman movie, or the 1966 one. So yeah, I really, really liked this movie. The cheesiness of it was great because, again, that was the comic books. Like, say at the time, the comic books weren't quite as dark as they are now. He wasn't necessarily like the Dark Knight. I believe he may have been called the Dark Knight like way back then, but he wasn't really dark. He wasn't really dark until Frank Miller did The Dark Knight Returns, and then that was immediately followed up with Tim Burton's Batman in '89, which is the next one we're going to talk about. But yeah, I like the cheesy corniness of this movie, the lines and everything that they had going with it. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. Like, it's just so off the wall. I loved it. I would say he
didn't run around the nuns. He just went in a completely different direction. He could have just ran around the nuns.
Yeah.
But also the thing is, this movie knew exactly what it wanted to be, and that's one thing that not a lot of Batman movies are able to do. This one just knew what it wanted to be. That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, I would actually probably put this in A tier, only because if you know what this movie means in regards to like the zeitgeist of Batman in film. Also, I like to point out this movie came out in 1966. It was one of the first like superhero movies to come out, and they had the balls to put 4 villains right in the very first movie, and it worked.
I will say
no one else has been able to do exactly that as well as they did in Batman 66.
I didn't mention this. I will say on a plus column, all 4 villains peak Batman villains. They are exactly as they should be. They're like the one major thing about this movie that I absolutely loved. I think all 4 of them were exactly what the villains need to be in a Batman movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would call this A tier. This is A tier Batman for me. So we got 1 A, we got 1 F, and then 2 Bs.
That would probably even to like a C plus.
Yeah, it's probably going to be. That sounds like mathematically, which I did all the math real quick. Sounds like it would be the upper end of C.
Mm-hmm.
It'll move up. It'll move up, I think.
Possibly.
Chris is just a hater.
Yeah.
Chris is just a Batman hater. Chris,
wait till we get to some of these others.
Yeah. If you think that's where his hateration is going to end here, no, it's going to keep going.
This movie's going to move up. It's going to move up.
I sleep soundly.
Speaking of which, let's move on to the next one.
Before we do that,
some Streamlabs
real quick.
Yeah.
We got Brennan Marr jumping in here. Hello there, you fine folks. The Dark Knight is by far my favorite Batman film and is in my top 5 favorite films of all time. It is a modern-day masterpiece that has influenced cinema as a whole. By the way, Tori has very good taste in movies.
That she does.
Thank you. I'm trying.
And then we also got one from Movie Fanobi for Adams v. Adams, Commissioner I'm not saying this how his name should be said. Galaghost. We're going with that. And Joker Eyes.
Joker eyes.
Joker
yeah.
Eyes.
If someone donates in $50, I will do the Joker eye makeup and it will get very intense in here. That'll make it real scary.
50
if I put eyeliner all over my eyes.
Yeah, so Movie Fanobi also, look at this crew: Joker, Commissioner Galaghost, Mayor Adams, Governor Adams. Which one of us is mayor and which one's governor?
Ooh.
I don't know which one. Like,
Chris has mayor energy.
What does that even mean?
Mayors are like running around. They're like, I don't know.
but
they're like figuring
here's the
stuff
thing,
out.
and not to get political real quick, but we live in Texas, and I think I'm
No,
too
stop.
smart to be a governor.
Commissioner.
I'm yeah. I'm too logical, I think, to be a governor. So I don't know.
I don't know. I wouldn't give Chris the commissioner. I would give him district attorney because he has 2 faces now.
Uh-huh.
The gentleman.
All my sunglasses are broken. I can't do the shtick.
So let's see. Just looking to see for Batman 66. I'm guessing, I don't know if y'all were referring to Batman 66, but y'all may have been referring to 89 as well. So
I think they're referring to 66 because we were just about to talk about 89 when some of the comments came in.
So Batman 89, right off the bat, Jen Kemp with the clutch comment here. Somebody hum the Danny Elfman score. I need it. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Has anyone else like ever played that in your car while you're driving?
Yes.
That is dangerous.
I have so many Batman soundtrack scores now on my phone that I drive to.
Because the intro is nice and melodic, and then it like the beat of it drops essentially, and it kicks in, and then you just want to hit the gas and go, and you're like, "Screw you, people! Get out of my way! I'm Batman."
I'm Batman.
Oh yeah. No. Descent into Mystery is deadly on the drive home. Mm-hmm. That it's like, yep, I'm coming to. Am I really going to drive against that garage door before it has a chance to open right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone needs to make a video of that. Like they just go and crash into the garage door.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be great. Anyways,
if you stream live $7,000, I will do it.
Yeah. You got to get Kurt Russell's car from Death Proof though.
Also true.
Chicks do dig the car.
Chicks dig the car. Yeah.
I dig the Michael Keaton. Can I start?
Yes, Tori, you start with this one.
So if anyone doesn't know me, I kind of have a thing for men from the New England area. And, you know, there's 2 men in this movie in particular.
Here we go.
Who are from the New England area. And also daddies. And if you don't know who I'm talking about at this point, we're talking about Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
God, I missed this.
There was a moment like a few years ago where I had not seen this movie and I was like, oh, it'd be so cool if Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson were in a movie together. And someone was like, I can't curse on here, but B, they're in a legitimate Batman movie, which is my favorite thing. And I was like, yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah. So I had never seen it. And then I watched it.
You turned into Yaddle?
Yeah.
Like the female Yoda.
You're right. And I watched it. And I mean, like, how do you not have a crush on Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson after this? I don't know how to describe it to you. Like the energy, the Catwoman dynamic, the Michael Keaton and the Bat car, Batmobile, and the Bat house and the Bat cave and the the cat, and then the Joker, and then the Prince music, and the museum, and the dancing. The scene where he like electrocutes a man. I wish it was me, but it's not.
Oh,
you wish you were getting electrocuted?
Don't judge me. This is a safe place.
Hey, no, we're not kink
By
shaming
Jack
or anything here,
Nicholson
buddy.
only. It's so good. Like, it's just like so, like, it just knows what it is. And again, it's like I love how the dynamics of Batman movies, like, I love all of it. I love the darker stuff that we get later. I love this. I love Michael Keaton. I love Jack Nicholson. And I just think that Jack Nicholson brings something to the Joker. Like, it's almost like he had like that Adam West. I'm sorry, who's the Joker? Who's the actor who plays
Cesar
the Joker?
Romero.
Yeah, thank you.
Cesar Romero.
It's like he brought that goofiness, but then started to give us that like really creepy, like you wouldn't want to be in a room with him energy, like with the electrocution. Like it's just really unsettling to watch someone be so goofy and dancing, but then also will like electrocute you and laugh at you.
Especially if it's Prince music.
Yeah. So he started to bring us down that road where it made like Joker really interesting and creepy, and I really love it. So to me, this is an S tier. Again, it's influential. The music is fantastic. It's fun. It has a good story. It's just classic. It's just classic Batman. And to me, this is S tier.
I would like to add real quick that the second you said the word cat, guess who shows up?
Catwoman!
Yeah.
Lola.
The Catwoman of the Cinefanatics. This would be Lola, for those of y'all who are not familiar.
She's like, put me down now.
Yeah, she was like, I want to be put down. Okay, so you want to put this in S tier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Chris. Chris, go ahead.
Chris, if you say anything about this thing right now, I swear to God, we can't be friends. You can't say anything about the movie with my men in it.
Choose your words carefully, Mr. Adams.
Watch me! This is my other F tier!
This is not an F tier, you maniac!
I'm the Joker tonight. You will listen to me.
What are you even saying? I'm gonna kidnap you like Joker did that guy in The Dark Knight, and I'm gonna make a weird video with you, and I'm gonna be like, this is what happens when Batman...
Oh my God. Hey, Robert, you know that box I sent you? Start, open it up and then put what's in it on right now. Because there's a gas that's gonna come around right now and take out.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson just rolled over on their cozy king-size Tempur-Pedic beds.
There's no way, Chris. Really think about this, man. There are other movies here that you could put in.
Chris, there's children. Think about the children.
Think about the orphans.
Think about the orphans.
Just want to watch the world burn.
I want to watch the world burn tonight.
No, here's the thing. Again, we're talking about like personally. It's fine. Like Michael Keaton as Batman, perfectly good. He's great. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. I did not vibe with Jack Nicholson's Joker. I don't. He's got moments where he's good, but there's other Joker performances that far surpass it for me. The story is, the story's classic. It's basic Batman. It's pretty good. But when I come to Batman, what I want from Batman, again, we're talking about my personal opinion here. What I'm looking for from Batman is a lot more action than what you get in 89. 89, the action you get in there is Michael Keaton throwing his arm out and turning slightly, and then the camera cuts away. And I get that's like how choreography worked for that time, but that is not my Batman action. That is why movies like this one and Batman 66 don't rank higher for me. I'm not saying that they are bad movies. I'm recognizing that they are products of their time. They do not vibe with me and what I want from a Batman movie. So if everyone wants to get on my case for wanting to put 89 in the F tier, yes, I will hear about it all the time. If you want to like come into my stream on twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP and blast me on there while I'm playing something not Batman related, you are welcome to do that.
Chris just got canceled.
Yeah, I know.
Canceled,
like,
Leave it to Batman 89 for Chris to get just canceled right now.
Most of my other opinions, I feel like everybody else should be okay with, though.
Hey! By the way,
Going
before y'all unsubscribe,
You've already filled up all your F quotas for now. Where is it going to go?
Before y'all unsubscribe and unfollow Cinefanatics on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, I still got to give my opinion. Y'all are okay.
Okay.
I stand by my opinions.
You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight?
You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
I did. It wasn't fun.
What?
It wasn't a good time.
Hey, Malcolm, stick around for a minute.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, so we've gotten what? S tier and then F. So we're like down over here now. Okay, so thanks, Ryan. You can follow us if you would like. I mean,
oh my God, Ryan, come on.
I'll be honest. Again, as a kid, I didn't watch this, and the first time I did watch it, I was like, this movie's fantastic. Like, if I was a kid, if I had watched this in '89 when it came out, I would have loved this movie. Like, I would love it even more than I do now. This is, I would want to put this in S, but being the person who's running this, I know what movies are down the line, and I have two other movies that I believe are more S tier than this one. But I would stick this at a very high A. So, yeah, just the nostalgia factor, what it brought to Batman, what it did for Batman in film. Absolutely. This is easily an A tier movie. Andres.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more, Robert. I mean, with this is an A tier movie for me. It is what it did to reestablish Batman after him being a joke throughout most of the 60s, and also just giving us probably my favorite Batmobile in any film. Like, honestly, I can't wait for what The Flash is going to do with Keaton's Batman. Plus, also, I mean, come on, Michael Keaton, he's freaking fantastic. I mean, Mr. Gentleman, let's broaden our minds. A tier.
Yeah. I'm okay with a low A.
It's a group effort. Put it where y'all want.
I think we're probably going to put this in A.
I can't believe Chris Adams literally looked us all in the face and put this in an F tier.
Do it.
Like, you think you know someone, and then they just like look you in the eyes.
Yeah.
They betray you.
Chaos. It's so tasty.
If I ever hear La La Land, I'm putting it in F tier. That's how bad this is, Chris.
You know what? I'm used to that shit by now, so go for it.
Oh yeah, by the way, we do allow a little bit of cussing now. Just don't go to town with it. But I mean, express yourself. Which is what Movie Fanobi is saying in our Streamlabs. Saying, well, I wouldn't normally do this on a regular stream, but I'm on vacation and I want Tori to express herself. So we also got Garth McMurray saying, I grew up in the 70s watching the Batman TV series. I also literally bumped into Julie Newmar at a Boston convention in the 80s. Now he's got me doing it for him. Batman 66 is pure goofy fun, and I love it. I would put it in A tier, but I think you all will put it in B tier. Yeah, I did want to put it higher than that, but yeah,
Malcolm, I think I did ruin Chris with Midsommar. He's cursed now.
Hello, Heather.
Can I do the Heather? Can I do the Danny smile?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Anyways, let's move on to the next one.
Oh, did Movie Fanobi donate $50?
No.
Okay.
He did it in two parts though. I mean, he did 25 before and then just did the 25 this time.
Oh, I'll count that.
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. Go for it.
Should I try to do it on the laptop? That would be terrible.
That would be great. Let's go with the classic 1992 Batman Returns. This time we're gonna start with Chris.
Oh, you want to?
I don't know. Your opinion so far, I'm like,
You want to?
I mean,
let's see if
wait. Yeah, I want to start with you, but I want to do one thing real quick. Go ahead, Chris, if you would like to share your opinion on Batman Returns. We're all listening. Go ahead. Yeah, I agree. Sure. Completely.
You done?
Yeah.
Ass. Guys, I hate to say this, but I actually like Batman Returns way more than 89. So it is not anywhere close to F tier. I did. Okay. I actually really enjoyed this one a lot more.
Chris, are you an agent of chaos? I mean, because I'm just saying, like,
yes, I am. This one is a B tier for me. It's the interactions between Batman and the villains. I thought Catwoman was fantastic in this. I really liked the dynamics of everything that's happening here with like Max Schreck. I'm a Christopher Walken nut, so I will don't leave it alone. It's just, I think everything about it was a lot better than the 89 Batman. So this is, for me, it's a B tier. The characterizations and everything.
Jen Kemp here just like made a sigh of relief. Like she was just so about to just like jump through her computer monitor. Oh, maybe not.
Nope.
Sorry, Jen.
For me, it's middle of the pack of all the Batman movies.
Hey, Jen, if it helps, we really liked you on Friday Night Titans. Good job.
Woo!
Oh yeah, you did great.
Yeah. So you said you want to stick it in beer in B?
Yes. Put it right into the beer.
I want beer.
Right inside the beer.
After his opinion so far, I need a drink.
Drop it in like a shot in some beer, and we'll just chug the whole thing. Let's do it.
It's like a Jaeger bomb here. Okay. Dang, I don't like this. So I'm gonna go next. You want to stick it in B?
Yep. Go for it. Do it.
Guys, this is probably my first one that I'm contemplating. I want to stick in F. Oh. Here's the thing: the idea behind this movie. Yeah, I know. That's how it feels.
I like me just like going crazy.
Yeah.
Y'all are just like, yeah.
We literally lost 7 viewers.
Are driving Tori to insanity.
It's like the scene in the Joker opening where he's just like,
we literally lost 7 viewers.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we did actually. So I like a lot of stuff about this movie, but I don't like what they did with the Penguin in this. And I know this is all still playing into Tim Burton, and he's dark and moody and edgy and like noir. I mean, granted, the Tim Burton movies are as close as we've gotten so far to a live action version of Batman the Animated Series. I feel like it's actually the other way. That came first, and then Batman the Animated Series was kind of mirroring what the Tim Burton aesthetic. I don't like Penguin in this. And it really affected me, like watching this movie. Now, that being said, I've watched this movie plenty of times, and I will continue to watch this movie. I don't absolutely hate it. It is a good movie, but in comparison to these other movies on here, I'm not a big fan of it, especially because of what they did with Penguin. They made him like this nasty looking sewer dwelling, just gross. And I'm more used to Penguin being like what Burgess Meredith portrayed in the Batman show. Like this nice, upstanding, like tuxedo, top hat, monocle, cigarette holder. Like I'm used to that kind of Penguin, like one who looks like he bathes on a regular basis. Not this Penguin with like sharp teeth that as he's talking, he's cutting his lips open and he's got green oozing blood dripping down. Like, ew, girl, no. That's not Penguin. Colin Farrell did a better Penguin. in the Batman than Danny DeVito did. And I like Danny DeVito as the Penguin. I just don't like how they did the Penguin. That's my biggest takeaway is I feel like that kind of ruined the entire movie for me because everything was just so dreary and depressing. Like the Batman 89 wasn't as depressing as this movie is. And especially because this movie's supposed to take place at Christmas. Just, ugh.
This is where I kind of go back on what I said earlier because I do take this one. Take it easy, sweetheart. Yeah. I do take this one for what it is and say that the characterization of what they did with the Penguin, the way they portrayed the Penguin here, the way they portrayed the Penguin, fair, I get it. If you're wanting the Oswald Cobblepot with the hat and the monocle and all that, I understand. But for what he was, the actual characterization of the Penguin in this movie was actually really good. I actually really did enjoy it. What Danny DeVito brought to the character. So it's one of those, you got to take it out of your mind of it being the Penguin that you would want and just take it for the Penguin that it is, kind of a situation.
It's not the Penguin that you want, but it's the Penguin we deserve.
It's the Penguin you need right now.
Very good, Tori.
Honestly, I didn't have any black eyeshadow, so this is all eyeliner, which is very expensive, but also harder.
Okay, so Chris wants to put it in B. I want to put it in F. I could entertain if this gets like pushed up higher. Like I could be okay with it in a D, low D. So it's just based off of how I rank these, I would want to stick this in F. Just compared, I like the other movies that we got to rank a lot more. So,
I got 3 movies in my mind right now that are going in C and D.
Yeah, Andres.
Oh, see, I'm gonna have to disagree with everybody so far. This to me is a much better film than Batman 89 for a multitude of reasons. The villains are far more better in this film. I personally prefer, listen, this movie goes in the S tier for me for one reason, and that is Michelle Pfeiffer. Michelle Pfeiffer in this freaking movie as Catwoman is alone S tier ranking.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer did turn a lot of women queer.
I mean, like, here's the thing. Like, yes,
Understood.
I agree with this. I agree with that take. Michelle Pfeiffer was fantastic. I don't like the fact that they made her like kind of psycho and crazy, but she looked fantastic as Catwoman in the costume.
Was she psycho?
She was,
She got pushed out of the building by her boss. I kind of sympathized with her all the way through.
When you're in a crazy city, you want her to play, but you want her to act normal?
Yeah, but I mean, in the comics and pretty much almost anything else you've seen Catwoman in, I love how you're doing this like so well. Thank you, Tori. Thank you for being here on this.
Complete your thought.
Yeah, but everything else
man, am I
we've seen her
worried?
in, she's been a rational human being. She knows what she's doing. She's an expert cat burglar. She's not crazy or lost her mind or anything like this movie is portraying. So,
hey, man, don't get too attached. Learn to let go.
Okay.
Do you have a problem with psychotic women, Robert?
I mean, depends on the situation. That might be a lot more than y'all wanted to know on this stream. I apologize for that.
Depends on the situation.
Depends on the situation, how much I've had to drink. Just
Give him the floor. Give him the floor.
Why?
Why?
Anyways, so Andres, you want to stick this in S?
Oh yeah, S.
Okay. So I definitely have a feeling it's going to be more in this area. Tori, where would you like to stick this movie?
You know what, Andres? You convinced me. Let's put this in S. My only reason it's going to just be Michelle Pfeiffer. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Tori, I know for
What
a
else
fact.
do I have to tell you? What else do I have to tell you? Michelle Pfeiffer.
I know for a fact
Look her up.
You are not trying to put 66 and Returns in the S tier. I know for a fact you have at least one other movie that is going in S tier. Come on.
Do I look like I care?
You look like you have another movie that's going in S tier.
Later. I'll worry about it later. Michelle Pfeiffer.
So
She
Michelle
really looked like
Pfeiffer.
about the plan.
We got two.
I look like a guy with a plan.
I
chase the what does he even say? I chase the mailbox down the street like
I'm like a dog, like trying to catch a car. I wouldn't know what to do with it when I caught it. Yeah.
I don't plan for the future, Chris. I plan for the now, and it's Michelle Pfeiffer. Robert, can you pull up a photo of Michelle Pfeiffer right now?
Do what?
Can you pull up a photo of Michelle Pfeiffer in the Catwoman suit right now?
Pull a photo
not
of Michelle
while I'm
Pfeiffer
already,
when she plays off
not
the
while I'm
mask
already
area.
sharing the
Like
Marquee
she's got that
board.
crazy hairstyle, right?
Hold on, I'll look at my phone. Let's look at the bad quality. Hold on. Hold on. Michelle, how do I spell Pfeiffer?
Pfeiffer's.
Pfeiffer.
P.F. Eifer.
Here. What
I-E?
more? What
I?
do you need? What do you need? What more do you need than this? What more do you need? What more do you need? What else are you looking for in life? Like, what are you?
Oh God!
Well, maybe not a woman with a bird in her mouth. That might be a little extreme there. But
What are you looking for? What else?
Hey, how are you doing? Can I buy you a drink? You want to stick a bird in your mouth? Hey.
What else do you? I don't.
She's very eco-friendly when she decides to take a bath like that.
Yeah.
Commentating nerd. I'm very sad by the chat's Batman Returns. Like this really is like the bastard child of like all the Tim Burton Batman movies, like or just like the 90s. Well, I don't know if it's the bastard child of the 90s. That might be a step too far given what else is in the 90s. But anyways, so I'm gonna just mathematically say that this is a low A, given we got 2 S's, 1 B, and 1 F. Probably swing it towards a low A.
Okay.
We did it, Tori. We did it.
Batman Returns just very overhyped. Yeah.
I would not put either one of these movies in the A tier, but okay.
Okay.
I would not put either one of those movies in the F tier either.
So we're about to have some more fun with this one then. And I love the fact that I get to go first on this.
Oh God.
Yeah, Chris knows where this is going.
No, it's not going there.
It's not going to go there, and I'm okay with it not staying there. And I get it. Because I actually have 2 other movies I would want to stick in that tier. But just for the shoots and poops and giggles and laughs and whatnot, I'm going to call Batman Forever S tier. I love Batman Forever. It is the perfect amalgamation of like cartoon and live action. You got quite possibly my favorite Batman. I think Val Kilmer was like one of the best looking Batman, Bruce Wayne, like together. Just I love it. I love I do love it. Yeah, what's happening? Hi, Jen. Welcome to our channel. Please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down below. You'll be notified whenever we make other videos that you'll definitely want to watch. Shoots and poops, a new game for children. I like the take that this movie did as far as like Joel Schumacher's like wanting to add the color, the neon lights. I loved it. Of course, again, given my age, I'm like, ooh, pretty. But also Jim Carrey as Riddler, like I am more of like when talking about Riddler, I am more of a fan of what Frank Gorshin brought to it in Batman 66. But if you think about it, Jim Carrey's Riddler isn't that far removed from Frank Gorshin's Riddler either. I like what he did with it. I do kind of like Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face because one, it was great seeing Tommy Lee Jones just kind of let loose in that character because he's always been like the upstanding, proper, typically a cop. If you're watching like
Curmudgeon.
The Fugitive and U.S. Marshals, he's a curmudgeon. Yeah, exactly. I like everything Batman Forever did. I mean, granted, the only thing I don't like is the fact that Bruce Wayne adopts a 25-year-old ward, but whatever.
we talked about that on our watch along.
Yeah, like you can't bring up this movie without talking about. You can't bring up this movie without talking about that. Like Dick Grayson was like 25 years old at least, and then of course this is the movie that brought us the Bat Nipples.
Are you saying I can't be adopted by a rich old man?
I mean,
that's something a little different, Tori, and we probably would talk about that like off camera.
Okay.
you could.
Me asking Jack Nicholson, hey.
Theoretically.
Hey.
But yeah, I like what this movie did, and I think it's a good amount of comic book cheese with like a good Batman, a decent story, regardless of how plausible it is. It's one of my favorites. I liked it. So yeah, I would want to put this S tier, but I know I know y'all are not going to keep it there. So Andres.
Listen, I love Batman Forever, but
so S tier. Okay, Andres.
I compare you to a B tier.
Oh yeah. I didn't even mention the soundtrack. The soundtrack is normal on this.
Such a great soundtrack, and again, Seal just makes this movie for me. But ultimately, at the end of the day, really looking at it, you know, it's a lot darker than people give it credit for, at least for the time. Yeah. Like, they really go into the aspect of Bruce trying to settle his trauma through through Meridian in terms of the therapy. But overall, at the end of the day, there's certain cheesy elements that sort of bring it down a little bit. Holy rusted metal, Batman! But
so stupid.
So stupid. But again, I love Jim Carrey in this. I'm sucking up your IQ, vacuuming the cortex, feeding off your brains.
Yeah.
Yep.
y'all are all just heard that song playing while we were doing that.
Yes. But ultimately, I think at the end of the day, this is absolutely a B tier movie for me. And it's not as bad as people go back and say it is, but it's a lot of fun. And I still have a lot of fun with it. So B.
Andres, I'm going to need you to lose my phone number and... Just kidding.
So much anger tonight from everybody. Can't we all just have fun?
So you did bring up the soundtrack, and I did want to bring up a point and see if anyone else agrees with this. Do y'all all believe that like the crappier the Batman movie gets, the better the soundtrack does?
No, The Dark Knight has a great soundtrack.
I mean,
I don't know.
Wait till we talk about the soundtrack for Batman and Robin.
Not talking about the score. I'm talking like we're talking about like the actual like from musical artists.
Oh yeah, was this Elliot Goldenthal that did
Oh
Batman
yeah.
Forever?
Oh yeah. Well, Elliot Goldenthal, like he did an amazing job with the score.
Yeah, yeah, he did.
Yeah. That being said, what was the soundtrack to Batman 66?
Batman. That's it.
Yeah. No. It goes against your thought there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a good movie, so you're just weird. Okay, so you want to stick it B tier?
He said you're just weird. This is the guy who wants to put this movie in S tier.
This is a B tier movie for me. Absolutely.
I'm allowed to have opinions on the internet. I think. Maybe.
No, you're not. It's the internet.
Tori.
I feel like this one is pretty average for me. There's like some stuff in there I like. There's a lot of stuff I don't. But again, I'm like a Batman nerd, so it's pretty hard for me to not get anything out of a Batman movie. So for me, this is like a pretty solid low C. Like I would not put it above Batman 66 at all. So for me, like high D, low C. And again, like that doesn't mean for me that like I wouldn't recommend people watch it. If you're a Batman fan, I think you should watch all of these. It's just in terms of compared to the others, what would I put on? This would probably be toward the bottom of what I would ever want to like just put on to watch in the background. So in comparison to the others, it would be like a low C, high D kind of situation. I'd feel uncomfortable putting it in the same tier as a Batman 69. Why do I keep wanting to say 69?
Because 69.
No idea.
Because we all love 69.
No clue.
Nice.
Batman 69.
Oh god.
Chris.
Yeah. So this one is the better of the two Schumacher Batman movies for sure. But it's a solid C for me. Again, looking at all the rest of this and what I like and what I want out of Batman, I agree with Tori as far as like this is also kind of middle of the road. It's the character. There's good characterizations in it. Riddler, Jim Carrey's Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face were actually really good for the product of the time for what they were. But as far as, you know, what I look for in a Batman movie is, again, less camp, less cheese, and more serious. It's good. It just doesn't check the boxes off completely for me. It's got more nostalgia factors for me than anything else because, like my brother was saying, this would be about the first Batman movie I probably ever watched because it was about the first one that hit when I was old enough to watch a Batman movie.
Don't say that.
Why?
That makes you sound like so old to me because this movie to me is like
Wow.
Van Halen, like.
Oh my gosh. No, but
this 69 is the porn parody.
God.
That's actually probably true.
Now listen, there is actually a porn
Google
parody called The Dark Knighty.
Ooh.
What?
I'm not gonna ask how you know that, Andres. No king shaming here, but yeah,
He worked on that set too.
Yeah, I worked on that set. There's a lot of sweating, a lot of.
He was a grip.
A lot of bat nipples.
He was the key grip.
He was the key grip.
He gripped the keys. Anyways, so yeah, this one is definitely like middle.
Commentating
middle
nerd. Yes. We're all old.
Like you can't, Chris. No,
What?
you were not.
What?
That was not your first Batman movie.
What year did it come out, guys? Movie release date.
1995.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. I was
Stop.
6. I was 6.
Stop.
So
I was too young for Batman Begins.
So we're gonna move on to the next movie, which this is gonna get so much better. I can just tell you. I seem to have noticed that the Streamlabs donations have slowed down a bit. I don't know why. No clue. But if you would like to still make sure that we hear your voice,
chastise me with your money.
Yeah,
Help me make more money to buy my makeup back.
Nothing is going to put Chris in his proper place like more money slapping him across the face.
Truly.
I don't know why I made that rhyme.
Have Robert buy him a bunch of copies of Batman 89.
Another $100 and Tori will do the white makeup.
I'm just gonna buy a bunch of TVs.
I don't have white makeup.
I'm gonna buy a bunch of TVs and Blu-ray players and stuff, and then when Chris comes home one day, there's like all these TVs in our living room, all playing Batman 66 and 89, and
oh my god,
he's gonna be like in his own like living hell type of thing. So
it's like April Fool's Day prank him, take all of his DVDs out and replace them all with a Batman 89.
Yeah,
this is my nightmare.
I'm gonna be the weird looking person. Like, why are you buying all these Batman 89? This is strange.
And Robin.
I'm running out of like the room to present movies over here. So
and Robin.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. We're gonna start with Andres on this one. Good luck, sir.
Why can't I kill you? I just
Batman
have
Forever.
to quote a better Batman film before I talk about this one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to put it in the F rating because, listen, I love this movie, but I love it for all the wrong reasons, and it fails miserably. It fails. F for F. F for failure, not fantastic.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
That was like F for this movie.
I was about to say F this movie, but I stopped myself.
I'm just gonna go ahead and preemptively put it here because I think we all agree with this one, but we didn't skip over Nicole Kidman. But I mean, in the terms of all these movies, like we can't like pick apart every single love interest on it, but she was good in Batman Forever. Batman and Robin is very ice. Okay.
Here we go.
Freeze.
Here it goes.
Everybody, you have to give your opinion in Arnold Schwarzenegger's voice.
All right, everyone, chill.
Yeah,
right,
go
Tori,
ahead, Tori. Tori sounds like a frog choking.
I'm Arnold.
Arnold.
I'm the Terminator.
I am the Terminator.
He sounds like a frog.
Oh, good lord, that's great.
Oh my god.
So Tori, F tier, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Chris, F tier, right?
Well, considering none of my other movies are in the F tier, and I would have put this in the D tier if they were, this is the F tier.
I'm gonna agree. This is F tier, but like to Andres's point, there, he said like this movie should rank higher for the wrong reasons. This movie is great to do a watch along and just tear it apart. There's so many great stupid scenes for this. This movie is actually, I don't feel like it's that far removed from Tommy Wiseau's The Room as far as like a movie you put on just to rip it apart. Like this is just so stupid. Now, we can't talk about like the positives of this movie. Commentating nerd. Alicia Silverstone is hot. Cool.
Yep.
I agree. I was a teenager during the 90s. I loved Clueless. So yeah.
As if.
Yeah. The soundtrack to this, again, the crappier the Batman movie, the better the soundtrack. This soundtrack had awesome tracks by Smashing Pumpkins, Jewel, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I believe there was a track by someone who we don't talk about anymore, but his song was really good in this. City of Dark.
Is this the one with U2?
No, U2 was Batman Forever with Hold Me, Throw Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
Yeah.
Which that one was really good too, but yeah.
Great music video too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Uma Thurman is also in this movie. That's a good shout out. I mean, she's never bad.
Yeah, I was going to say Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy was a fantastic cast, actually.
Yes. There's some things that she did in the movie. I was like, the scene of her like fighting Batwoman or Batgirl, whatever they called her in this. Hey,
Batboy.
If you call me Batgirl, can I call you Batboy?
I love the line where he's just like, it's not exactly PC. How about Bat Person or Batwoman?
Yeah.
like they were even woke way back when in 1997.
Woke.
I love how George Clooney is basically just George Clooney. He's not trying to do anything.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, did you see everyone else who played Batman before? Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be me. Like that was one of those that, like, even if you didn't know that Bruce Wayne was Batman, you'd be like, you look and sound a lot like Bruce Wayne under there. You're not disguising your voice or anything, which this movie came out, 97, I believe?
Yeah, 1997.
Yeah, so Batman the Animated Series came out in 92, and that really, really helps cement the fact that Batman uses a different voice as Batman compared to when he's Bruce Wayne, to kind of help like really blur that line that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And George Clooney was like, I don't care.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Hi, Freeze. I'm Batman.
Hi, Freeze.
Like,
I'm
really,
Batman.
you sound like the doctor from ER.
I'm sorry, Jed's comment right here on Poison Ivy just killed me.
Yeah, Poison Ivy being eaten by her own throne is one of the biggest cell phones on screen. Feed me, Seymour. Yeah.
Did you just go Kermit with that?
Almost. I was trying to do the
feed me, Seymour.
Feed me, Seymour. Yeah, I was trying to do the voice of Audrey too from the 80s, but apparently it sounds like Kermit. So. Yeah, we all agreed. Everyone knew that this was going to go F tier. Now, had one of us dared to say this was an S tier movie,
I wouldn't put it past Chris Adams after tonight.
Yeah,
no,
seriously,
absolutely not. No.
So before we move on to the next one, Commentating Bat
Commentating Batman
donated Streamlabs saying, okay, so what I'm gathering so far, Tori loves all the Batman. Chris doesn't like any of them. Robert is beholden to nostalgia, which I can appreciate. But too many of you in the chat have bad Batman Returns takes. Also, Jen Kemp is going to roast you. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, hold on. Let's put a pause real quick. Chris doesn't like any Batmans. Do you see the ones we got? All the ones we got so far are the old Batmans. We haven't gotten any modern Batman yet.
I feel like I said this earlier that it was going to be like based on like how you connected with Batman and when you saw it. And yeah.
I love Batman. I did not like these Batmans.
These Batman.
Chris, I'm gonna look you in the eyes right now. Look at me in the eyes. Come closer. I don't know if you necessarily like Batman. I'm I'm not going to tell you how you feel.
I don't think he does.
I think you like good movies, and I think a lot of the ones you don't like, I understand why you don't like them because you like good movies. I think if you're a Batman fan, it like swings it for you. Like the Joker for me. I can admit that the Joker as a movie has problems. I love that movie. I know that's my biggest red flag as a person. Like, I do not put that on my dating apps. Like, I like the Joker. No one wants to know that. But I love it. Yet, I understand people who are like looking at it as a movie and they're like, yeah, there's a lot of problems here. I'm like, yeah. I think you like good movies.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to the next one.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So this one, Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. So these have all been like pretty much in chronological order so far. We did this one kind of out of order because I wanted to tackle all the 90s Batmans, and now we're going to circle back to Mask of the Phantasm that came out in 93. Again, keep in mind the Batman the animated series that was on Fox Kids came out in 92.
Mm-hmm.
So this movie came out in the same style as the animated series a year after the animated series had started. They were proud of their cartoon series on TV to make a movie that quick.
Mm-hmm.
Look how long Simpsons has been on TV. We only got one movie from them. So
and like a good movie. Like, how often do you see a movie based off of a TV show that's really good?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That stands on its own. Like, you don't have to have seen the show.
So we'll start with Tori.
So I had not seen this movie. I saw it this morning.
Mm-hmm.
I love Kevin Conroy. He's my favorite Batman, period. I know some people don't like to include him in the conversation, but I played the Arkham games very early on. I think I was like 12 or 13. Yeah. And like, he just is like, when I read the Batman comics, it's in his voice. Same with Mark Hamill. They're just classic. They just like, every time I hear Mark Hamill, I hear the Joker. Like I there's just something they add to it that makes it so real, even though it's animated. It just works, and they can almost, I think, be given any script together and make it work. Like Mark Hamill is sinister when he needs to be in this. He's also funny when he needs to be. Kevin Conroy has that like serious tone, but it's not like he doesn't have to pull like the Christian Bale, or like even Robert Pattinson in the Batman kind of has to give a little bit of grizzle to his voice. Kevin Conroy just like has this quality of mysteriousness to his voice that he can use. I think the plot here is excellent. I think the animation is wonderful. I know that like, I feel like no one really talks about the animated series animation being like really good. They talk about it as being a really good show, but the animation is fantastic. It's crisp, it's clean, it's colorful, it's like a comic. The Joker design is amazing. It's honestly still my favorite Joker design. To me, this is S tier. Like, I, again, think you don't even have to be a Batman fan to enjoy this. I think you can just be a fan of movies. I could show this to my friends and they'd probably like it. A lot of them haven't heard of it, which sucks. I think this movie, like people who aren't into the nerd kind of movie scene or the Batman scene wouldn't really know about this movie. Like I didn't know, even though I was obsessed with The Dark Knight and I watched streaming services, I didn't hear about it until a few years ago. And I watched the animated series, like, I think like back in like a freshman year of college, which wasn't too long ago, but wonderful movie. Can't say enough about it. I knew nothing about it going into it, and so I don't want to say a lot more. I think you should go into it not really knowing a lot. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what villains were in it. So
if you don't know the twist of this movie, then like I don't want to spoil that because it actually was really good.
Yeah, I mean, I literally didn't even know if the Joker was in it or not. Like, I knew nothing. I knew it was a Batman movie that's animated, and I knew Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill voiced it. That was all I knew.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Chris.
So this is one where I acknowledge that it is a good movie. I acknowledge that there's a lot of like really good stuff about it. There's a lot of really good stuff that they do with Batman as a character in this movie. But this is one of those situations where, while I do think it's a good movie, we're on a tier listing ranking where it is up against other movies that I like a little bit more than it. In which case, this one would end up in around the C tier. I would be okay with it being in B tier ranking for me. Again, there's other movies on here, especially with what we have ranked so far and where we have things located. I mean, I'm not even worried about it later. I'm like, we'll figure that out at the end because there's so many good ones. I know. I'm arguing for where I would put it right now. There's a bunch of movies I think that are going to shift around on this list, guys. I don't think some of these movies are staying here.
Tier as whatever. What's the question? I'm sorry, I'm bad at recognizing like
Batman Forever.
Batman Forever, especially looking at all these, like how many of them are so similar. You cannot put it in the same tier as that one.
I put it over that one.
Put it in B then.
I also wouldn't put Batman 66 in the C tier, so there you go.
Watch Chris and my friendship deteriorate through this episode.
Live in front of everybody.
Also, I'm trying not to itch this makeup right now, but I like really gotta.
If you smudge it, it only works in your.
Yeah, it works better.
That's probably honestly what they did for his makeup. When I googled a picture of it, and like it looks like someone took it and just like.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. What they actually did on set was literally whenever they would paint it on, they would actually spray him with a water bottle, and then literally they would smudge it on purpose.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you were on the Dark Knight set.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I was kind of joking, like, because again, I know that Batman Forever was not going to go S tier. This is one that I would stick S tier. Like, in all honesty, this Batman Mask of the Phantasm is an S tier Batman movie that doesn't get enough credit, probably because it's animated and it's not a live action, so it gets glossed over a little. But the story is phenomenal. The characters are phenomenal. The voice acting is out like insane. I agree with like what Tori was saying. Is it's kind of hard to picture like someone other than Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill in those two pivotal roles. But yeah, everything about this movie is absolutely perfect. I think if they were to have done this as a live action movie, it wouldn't have been as good as it was animated. But there's a reason why. If you go and you look at what has been created from Batman the Animated Series in the 90s, it created the Bruce Timm universe. So you got Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, who created Harley Quinn, Eric Radomowski. You've got a lot of major talent behind the animated series and this movie. And yeah, these are gentlemen who knew exactly what they were doing with Batman. And they knocked it out of the park. This is easily an S tier movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
Andres.
Right. Well, honestly, this movie is so great because it touches on so many aspects of Batman's origin. In fact, it has probably my favorite Bruce Wayne scene where he's literally talking to the grave of his parents, begging for them to let the vow go. And we've never seen that in the Batman movie since, where he's really struggling with that aspect of between the love of his parents and between the fact that he wants a normal life to a certain extent. And that scene to me is so magical and it's so heartbreaking in so many ways. And also it really gets to the core of what Bruce Wayne is in this film in particular. But yeah, and the other thing that no one talks about all that much, how scary of a villain is the Phantasm?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, just some of the set pieces in this, like the graveyard sequence. There's hardly been a Batman sequence where something has been that terrifying and that scary. And then also with the Joker as well, too, when he's infecting Arthur with the Joker toxin, that's all done with like very carefully placed camera angles or like setups and all this other stuff, and it's all done with tone. It's done with his laughter in the background. It's utterly terrifying. So with that all said, this is absolutely an S tier movie for me. Absolutely an S tier movie.
I do want to touch on something you just said that I think is important with this movie, and I'll talk about it again with the Batman. I do agree with you. I love how they touched on Bruce's experience with his parents. I think in Batman Begins, it's a great origin. Again, we'll get there. But I think there's something about, and I know everyone like makes fun of the death scene at this point with his parents because it's been shown so many times. But when you really like sit back and think about the trauma of when you're a kid and something unimaginable happens to you, something you thought would like the only constants in your life as a kid are your parents. Like everything else is up in the air, like going to school, you just trust your parents that you have to go there. Like at one point when you're so young, you don't even know what day of the week it is. You just trust your parents to take you and, oh, it's time to wake up. It's time to go to bed. It's time to eat. Like your parents are your everything. And so to have them removed, I still think like I tear up at certain times when it's like in the Arkham games, the way it's depicted and the way they depict the trauma. I think it's one of the best depictions of trauma, period. Like with the Batman story, I think he isn't perfect. And I think that's important. I think he's messy. And I think that scene really shows you like he is just a kind of a kid still. And so when people talk about like why he thinks he has the higher ground of like picking who needs to get justice done to them and vengeance and what that means, it's like at the end of the day, he is a kid trying to recover from something that everyone would be broken from. He's trying to do something with it, and he really doesn't even have the answers himself. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to touch on that because it is like scattered throughout the movies. But I think like how they depict the parent trauma is really great in this movie. And I think it's something that's obviously not in every single movie. So I just wanted to touch on it there. I think it's really well done in this movie.
Absolutely.
I think y'all make actually a lot of really good points, and there's some pieces there that I wasn't actually considering and thinking about before. So I would argue that, yes, go ahead and put it as high as you want.
I would argue right now for like a low end S tier. Because again, there's a movie coming down the line here pretty soon that I believe we could all probably agree it's going to possibly beat this one, but this one's like really super high. So we're looking at the chat. We've got like definitely S tier, so much better than animated Batman. Garth is saying A tier. Kevin Conroy is an S tier. Batman, absolutely.
Oh God, yeah.
Conroy did a live action version of Bruce Wayne in a Arrowverse show, which that was kind of cool.
I love him in the Arkham games. If y'all don't even play video games,
oh yes,
it's just so good. It's such a good trilogy. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Malcolm's saying that he would put an F tier, but understandable. He said he never watched the series, so he didn't connect to it. I do think that's the thing with it, though, is like your love for Kevin Conroy's Batman, the animated Batman, it does come from the animated series. If you're not familiar with the animated series, especially because of the animation they use, how it's like all square jaw type of thing, if you're not familiar with that already, it's kind of hard to watch this movie and jump into that world where you're like, why is everyone's jaw made up of 90-degree angles? I don't get it. So, yeah, it's a little weird getting past that, I would say.
But
Kevin Conroy is the best Batman.
But before we go on real quick, how many movies could fit in each individual category again? Two. Okay.
Yeah. Commentating Bat dropping in the Streamlabs saying, also Andres has the best overall takes so far. You were on the Dark Knight set. I need to rewatch Mask of the Phantasm badly since it's been well over a decade. On my watch list tomorrow. I'm eager to see your take on that. So
it's going to be great. It's going to be great, man.
If you would like to see Commentating Nerd's take on that, just feel free to hop on patreon.com/cinefanatics. Any tier will get you access to the Discord, and he absolutely loves sharing his movie reviews and takes on our Discord. So yeah, they're fun, interesting reads. Hop on there, find out what he says about it. Sorry to monetize your reviews there, nerds. So.
Chaos.
I was contemplating wanting to put this on there. Just unfortunately, it was never released in the theater. But I absolutely agree. When Return of the Joker first came out, my first thought was like, "Oh, this is just another cash grab direct to DVD movie." it's almost right up there with Mask of the Phantasm. It is a really good movie that takes place in the Batman Beyond, the future Batman Terry McGinnis series, and it's good. They did such a good job with that.
Which it also gives such a great closure point for the Joker in the animated series. Like it's what would end up happening. I mean, if you don't want to go into too many spoilers, I mean, you know, since this does take place in the future, he does die in the previous timeline of the animated series, and it doesn't feel like a betrayal at all. It feels exactly how it would have gone. Yeah. So it's so great.
Let me see. We're 3? So we're halfway through.
Okay. All right, let's do this.
I know some of these are going to be. We're probably going to have faster takes, faster opinions, so it's okay. And thank you, Rachel, for the link there in the chat. If you want to join patreon.com/cinefanatics, a lot of cool stuff happening there. Next movie is going to be the first of the Christopher Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. This is a trilogy that is very well beloved by pretty much everybody. So as the first movie in this series, who are we starting with this time? Who we start with? Mask of Phantasm. Was that Tori?
I think it was me.
Okay, so Chris, we're starting Batman Begins with you.
Okay, see, this is where I hope you all start feeling a little silly, because this is an S-tier movie. This one belongs at the very top. And I get, we only have 2 movies per tier here. And I get Mask of the Phantasm's already in the S tier. And I get, I'm just going to say, we're going to put Dark Knight there also.
Spoilers.
So then cool. We want to throw this in the A tier. Oh, what's in the A tier? 89 and Returns. Why the hell are they in the A tier? Get them out. Put Batman Begins in the A tier. Okay, now I'm going to calm down. This is one of the best Batman movies, I think. This is actually a really great take on showing Batman's origin. We really got to dive into who his parents were, what they meant to Gotham, and then to see him have to deal with his parents' death, how it sent him off abroad to go study, to go train himself, to go get beaten down and broken, basically, to come back, understand what fear is, and to use it as a tool rather than as something that can be used against him. I really, really love the way this movie portrays Gotham. I love the way this movie went with 2 villains that you wouldn't normally expect from having seen any of these Batmans before, with Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul, as the movie likes to say.
No, Ra's al Ghul. It's Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah,
dude,
I knew he would say something.
Get started on here because, honestly, on Mike Kalinowski's Twitter, it just dived into insanity. So.
Yeah, I will say, the casting of those 2 villains, Killian Murphy as Jonathan Crane, and Liam Neeson as Raz or Raish or whatever.
Raz al Ghul.
Perfect. I know he's casted as Ducard, but
Henry Ducard.
He's
a Henry. He looks like a Henry.
He was Ra's al Ghul.
With Henry with an I.
So this is where I'm saying this movie is an S tier Batman movie. Like, everything about this is close to peak Batman for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can see that. I'm not that mad about that. I think the trilogy is honestly one of those where I understand people putting different movies in different places.
Yeah.
So yeah, I pretty much everything Chris was saying, I absolutely love about Batman Begins. It was a good origin, but the way they did the origin story, it didn't feel like something that we've been rehashing. My problem, and I've said this before, the newer Batman movie that just came out, my problem is I feel like we're rehashing the year 1, year 2 Batman timeline so much that I'm just so tired of seeing seeing Batman just now dealing with the fact that he's a superhero, dealing with the loss of his parents and how he's going to find his place in this world. I was tired of it. But Batman Begins came out before pretty much anyone else had touched that storyline, except for the animated series, of course. I like what they did with it. And like some of the stuff they did was stuff that I didn't think we needed to see. The whole like Bruce goes through the ninja training. Like I didn't know that I needed to see that, but they did it so well, and it worked very well in that movie. Kind of like what Chris was saying, Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow. Anytime someone ever asks me, and and we may actually do a tier ranking of this, because I think this sounds like absolute fun to me. So y'all in the comments on the chat here, let me know if you want to see this, because I actually probably would be really eager to do this. I want to do a list of like ranking the performances of the actor to the character. What is the best casting of a comic book character ever? And Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane's Scarecrow is one of the best castings ever. Like the second I heard that, I was like, oh my God. Like that is the most perfect casting of all. And granted, this movie came out in 2005. We've already had Patrick Stewart as Professor X in the X-Men movies. And I was like, even still, like I love Patrick Stewart as Professor X, and I've been thinking Patrick Stewart ever since The Next Generation in the early 90s. Cillian Murphy as Scarecrow is so mind-blowingly perfect casting. Like it's one of the top selling points of this movie. Christian Bale, not quite my favorite Batman or Bruce, but he does very well with that role, with that part. The story, phenomenal. I think they did so well with this. If it wasn't for the fact that they followed it up even better with The Dark Knight, I would have easily thrown Batman Begins into S tier. But because I know, again, we're going to put Dark Knight into S tier, this is probably, I would put Batman Begins just under Mask of the Phantasm and just above Batman 89. So, Andres.
Yeah, it's all the way up until then, we never got a definitive origin story for the Batman. And this one gave us a really great origin story, but it also did rip off Doctor Strange quite a bit. I mean, as a comic book nerd, it was just one of those things where it's like, they literally just took the Doctor Strange backstory and just put it in Batman. Huh. All right. Look. All right.
Yeah, kind of.
You did.
Sort of, yeah.
But I will say this for so many reasons, but you guys have said Cillian Murphy. You guys throw down a Cillian Murphy as Jonathan Crane. I will throw down Gary Oldman as Commissioner.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So much better. Like, you look at Gary Oldman's performance in this movie, and you look at something like Year One, he is almost literally ripped off the page and put on the screen. Like,
I am ashamed that I didn't mention him already. I am ashamed.
Me too.
Yeah, I mean, he
like almost blends into the movie, and like you almost don't like think about him as a character because you're just like, yeah, Gordon is in the movie.
Fits so perfect.
But he's unbelievably perfect in this movie. However, certain aspects about it get a little cartoony at certain points, but for me, it would absolutely be an S tier movie. But in terms of breaking it down and all this other stuff, if I had to choose where it goes in right now, it's automatically a high A for me. Automatically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also just want to mention, like, y'all have covered it pretty well. But I love the scene with like, where are you?
Here.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
like,
that was done
it
well.
introduces, like, I love the action style of the Nolan trilogy. I think Batman's intimidating. I think he has to be. I think he's scary. But it's also like that payoff in that scene where, like, you've been watching him train. You've been like, you're like waiting. And then it's just like you see him take out like a group of men. And it's just really satisfying. I will say I'm not just like personally, I'm not a great big fan of Ra's al Ghul as a character. I've just never seen an iteration of him that I really connected to emotionally. Every time he's like been portrayed, I just get kind of bored. I don't know why. I think it just disconnects from what I like about Batman. Where'd Robert go?
This computer just crash?
I don't know. We've lost the marquee.
We've lost the marquee.
How did all of that disappear?
Because you were sharing.
Oh, because I was sharing the screen too.
All right. You don't see any of this
Ra's
right
al
now.
Ghul came in and took over the stream.
Yeah, Ra's al Ghul was like, Tori, I heard you talking.
We ransacked.
I just want to say that. So, like, to me, there are some moments where I just am a little bored personally. But again, that's just me with that character. I just think I haven't seen the right version of him yet and the right story to appreciate it. I felt the same way about Penguin up until Robert Lord Taylor's depiction of him in Gotham, the show. I actually really liked Penguin in that show, and it made me like Penguin a lot more. I think I just need to see something with Ra's al Ghul that makes me connect to it. Anyway, I agree. I think it's an A movie for sure. It's not an S for me related to the other Batman movies that are going to be an S for me. It's A, solid.
Yeah.
So that moves Batman Returns down.
I completely understand the take on Ra's al Ghul because I do remember as a kid, I was not a fan of the Ra's al Ghul episodes of the animated series.
Yeah. I just don't connect to it. I don't know.
Yeah, I just felt they were very drawn out and boring. As an adult, though, like going back and watching those episodes, they were really good. Those episodes had a lot more meaning and nuance to them that as a kid you just don't get, you don't appreciate. You're watching it because you want to see Batman fight bad guys and kick some ass. Mm-hmm. And Ra's al Ghul was not about that. Ra's al Ghul was all about like the meaning and everything, much like in Batman Begins. He's not necessarily about fighting. He just wants to purify Gotham for the betterment of humanity, essentially. So yeah, I'm going to stick Batman Begins here as a high A above Batman 89.
He's less a colorful Batman villain and more an intimidating presence.
Yeah.
You're not there emotionally. You're just there to just be intimidated by him.
And yeah, that might have been a part of it too, is because, again, as a kid, so real quick, when I was younger, like in the 80s, I played with if y'all are familiar with the Superpowers figures, which they were toys, they're action figures made by Kenner, and they were primarily based off of the look and personality of the Super Friends cartoon.
Yeah.
So when I saw like Ra's al Ghul in the animated series, I was like, this guy's boring. There's like no color and no personality. He's just like this snobby, like know-it-all guy, like boring. But again, as an adult, I appreciate his takes a lot more. I understand what he was trying to do, and he's a very threatening villain, and I think they did him perfect in Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
looking over real quick, we got a lot of people chiming in on this one. We got Batman Begins as S tier. Batman Begins is S tier for me. I'm one of those who puts it slightly above Dark Knight. It's the best Batman origin told in a movie. Really like Batman Begins. The S tier, don't compromise. Who made the rule about only two? Garth is calling it S tier as well. Mm-hmm. Jeremy going even so far as saying Katie Holmes brings it to a low S tier.
Oh God.
If we don't make the rule about the only two per tier thing, then we're just gonna stick all these movies in S through B.
That's yeah. Mm-hmm.
Got to make it challenging. Got to make it challenging.
Me in the chat break the tiers. That's funny. So this next one is what we like to call here in the business of ranking movies as a time saver. Why is it called a time saver? Because we're all just going to agree that we want to stick this.
But I want to talk about it.
I know. And whose turn is it to talk about movies? Chris?
No, he just did it.
Don't you dare.
Me.
Don't you dare, Chris.
No, Chris is going to put this in S tier.
What do you mean, don't I dare?
I don't trust you anymore, Chris.
It's the best damn Batman movie we've ever
lower to the Nets.
We don't trust you anymore, Chris.
Dude, we will lose all credibility for this channel on the internet.
I've seen several people put it in. Like William Bibbiani doesn't have it in his top for the Batman.
And I'm okay if it's not your favorite. No one's gonna judge you because of that. But if you're like, this is F tier, like, I'm gonna have to question your sanity as a human being.
I'm scared.
So yeah, we're gonna start with me. This is a phenomenal movie. Fantastic. You already know how good this movie is. It's S tier. Everyone agrees pretty much this is S tier. Moving on. Andres, S tier?
S tier.
Do you want to elaborate on that, or are you just good with the fact that we already know?
He was on the set.
I was on the set. I saw the magic happen. I saw the bus go through the building. I was all good. I was like, this is going to be an S tier movie for the Cinefanatics 20 years from. Oh my God, it's almost.
Were you on the set?
Almost been 20. Right? No,
as an overnight PA, right?
2008. Don't scare me. It's not been almost 20 years. It's 2008.
2008. So over a decade at least.
We got 6 years still. Don't do that to me.
So you want to put an S tier, Chris? I know we're going to come back to Tori here. Chris, you want to stick it in S tier also?
No, put it in the F tier. Yes, put it in the S tier. Come on.
What is wrong with you?
I just want to make people like.
Did you want to elaborate? Do you want to elaborate on it at all, or are you saying like we all agree we know why this is S tier?
Heath Ledger.
Okay, yeah. Tori.
Yes. I mean, I told you already.
Why is this movie the epitome of S tier?
This got me into movies. I was 10. I was in a bad place in my life. I saw this movie, and as someone with daddy issues, I just like really connected to the character of Batman. Like, he really just made me think about justice differently, and how not everyone who's in jail, or not every bad person is like in jail. Like, it just made me as a 10-year-old really think about like, there are bad people that are out there in the world that won't face like court system justice, but that doesn't mean it's okay. It doesn't mean what they did was okay. And that for me at that time in my life was really important to understand that like there's nuance to justice and the system isn't perfect. And it really like introduced those ideas to me of just like critiquing the prison system. And anyway, I know that like The Dark Knight doesn't really get into that stuff, but like as a 10-year-old, it just really inspired me. It really made me think. The performances are amazing. I mean, I didn't see Batman Begins and I wasn't lost at all. Even the Rachel stuff, I like got very quickly. There's so many amazing scenes, just to shout them off. The truck scene where they flip it, amazing. It's still cool to watch. The opening scene with the bank, so amazing to introduce the Joker that way. The pencil scene.
Oh.
The hospital scene, the ending with the fairies and the criminals, like everyone thinking they're gonna blow it up, and you're like, are they gonna blow it up? Like, and then they don't, and then the normal citizens almost did, and like, it just is like so interesting. And Morgan Freeman, and it's so quotable. And we forgot to shout out to Michael Caine is fantastic. He's my favorite Alfred. There's like so much like the Joker interrogation scene, Rachel, like the fate of Rachel and how that happens, and it just goes so many places, and like you can just watch a scene out of it and it's just like really well done. It's really beautiful. There's a lot of beautiful shots. Yeah.
Can we just like talk about like also absolutely every single piece of scenery that Joker is in? He is terrifying.
Yeah,
absolutely. Everything he does in this movie, everything that he sets up, every time he's on camera, he is terrifying.
And the Two-Face special effects, as Garth said, still hold up. When he turns his face, I remember being in the IMAX, and again, I was 10. I'd seen some gore at this point because I was angsty. But I was like everyone was like gasped at it. And I don't hear that often when I go to see something gory. Like, people are kind of like, oh, if it's like surprising. But it was like, people were not expecting it to be that. I thought it was going to be like red or like, you know, like burnt, like singed. It's like you can see tendons. Yeah.
Yeah, and just also even going on that with the special effects as well too. There's even that scene where he's at the bar and he takes the shot, and then as soon as he takes the shot, you see the shot start dripping out of his mouth, and you're like, oh God, the amount of pain he has to be in, and he's just brushing that off.
He does a movement in that. He does a movement that's so well too. I'm amazed by the practical and CGI that they do on that half. He takes that shot. Speaking of half, he takes the shot, and then his head does this movement of like half.
Yeah,
like as he's saying the word half, he does this weird like shaking it off type of thing. Like take the shot and half. Yeah. It was so well. Because I'm looking at like from the special effects aspect. Yes, granted, he does have like some prosthetic makeup on him, But like what Tori's saying, the inner workings of like the mouth and stuff, that was all CGI. For them to be able to do that kind of animation and make it look as realistic as they did, I don't know any of y'all who are familiar with like keyframing. It's a gigantic pain, and like the stuff that they had to do for that with layering that mask over and possibly keyframing that as he does this weird head movement. Like the special effects are just so good in that, just in that one little shot alone.
Plus his story, just the story of how he just was broken was just like the cherry that was on top of the rest of this movie.
Oh yeah, like even the moment where he's in the hospital and you sort of almost feel like he's still sane and he's still holding it together a little bit. But then the minute he sees the coin and he flips it and he knows that he gave Rachel that coin and the fact that it's singed on the other end, he knows that everything has gone to crap. And also, just even talking about Aaron Eckhart's performance in this, I think it kind of got shafted at the time because everybody was focusing on Heath Ledger, but I think Eckhart did just as good of a job, actually.
Yeah.
Because in order to buy that transformation of Two-Face, we bought him as the White Knight right off the bat. We bought him as the savior of Gotham right off the bat. And to make us buy that he would turn to the dark side, flawless and seamless, I would say. And for also a movie that is juggling 3 villains as well, too, where you got Maroni. Oh, no, 4 villains. Maroni, Scarecrow, and freaking Joker and Two-Face. This movie is transcendent. It is absolutely transcendent.
Yeah.
Also, sorry, one more thing. This movie also sold us on IMAX. No one ever even considered going to a movie to see an IMAX movie. This one gave you the spectacle. This one was just like, holy crap. It actually takes up the entire screen now, guys.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on from it, but also the soundtrack. Anyway, period.
Yeah.
Zimmer and James Newton Howard.
I will piggyback real quick off of what's his face? Harvey Dent. Aaron Eckhart. If you liked him in The Dark Knight, if you really liked his performance, around the same time as this movie, he did that movie Thank You for Smoking. That is also so good. Like his character in that is also phenomenal. So if you like him as Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, watch Thank You for Smoking if you haven't seen it. It's really good.
Everyone keeps bringing up the truck flip right here as well too. I mean, we can't forget about the U-turn, the Bat Pod popping out of the Batmobile, and the U-turn up against the wall. Like I literally remember seeing the U-turn and be like, holy crap! That's
like I still don't know how the logistics of that worked. Like it doesn't seem to make sense. And I've watched it like on slow motion. I'm trying to figure out where, like, so the tire ends up going like over here while this over here, and then they come back here. And whatever.
It spins in the middle. But can I just mention one story from the set? Me and another PA friend of mine, we were on the set seeing the Bat Pod in person, and we were looking at it, and we were just like, huh. The tires on the Bat Pod look very similar to the front of the Tumbler. Wonder what that's all about. And it never occurred to us that it would pop out. It never occurred to us. And it was hilarious. When we finally saw the movie a year later, we're like, God, we're dumb. It was just like literally right in front of us the entire time. Goodness. Take a drink, guys.
I need to go get more drink. Okay, so moving on. We're going to cap off the end of the trilogy with The Dark Knight Rises.
So am I going first?
Yes, Andres, you go first. And I'll be right back.
Okay.
The Batman didn't matter Harvey.
Oh, good Lord.
Saved my boy. And then he took the blame for Harvey's appalling crime so that I could, to my shame, put this in the D tier. I praise Nolan for making this film at the time.
It is a D tier. Thank you. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Okay, so to elaborate even further on this, I mean, I was looking forward to this film when it first came out, and there were so many really great things about it, but there was also a lot of just things that did not work. The development of the villains didn't really work for me. Talia's whole ending where, she just dies because she jumped off the top of a car. Jumped off of the top of a bridge, and then she dies so unceremoniously. And I don't know, it just, certain things felt like it capped off really well, and then certain things just felt like, why'd you do that? It kind of got lost in the mayhem. It was way too long for me. This one I felt the runtime on this one. And Bane, as you can tell, Bane is hilarious, but he shouldn't be funny. He should be very intimidating for a villain who's able to break the bat. And honestly, this one, I wouldn't even call it the Return of the Jedi, because Return of the Jedi actually worked for me. This one, I would just say it's a D for me. It's a D, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say. Yeah, D.
Well, Andres is giving it the D. Tori, what do you give it?
Sorry, I forgot to show when we were talking about Michelle Pfeiffer that I have a Catwoman tattoo.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes.
Anyway, I was like just looking at it. I was like, oh yeah. I agree. I think this movie has a lot of problems. To mention a big one for me, Anne Hathaway. I have a big problem with Anne Hathaway. I think she's overrated. I think she's boring. I think she doesn't push herself hard enough to make herself an interesting actress.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's been given moments where she could have claimed them and owned them as hers and really done something interesting. And I think she's failed to meet the mark every time, except for certain times, like in Les Miserables. I thought she did great.
Oh, she was fantastic.
Yeah, but then it's like a short, like she gets a scene and she's great. I don't think she should be like a lead or anything that's like prominent in a movie. I just don't find her interesting. In this movie, she is not a Catwoman to me at all. And I don't even want to say it's a looks thing, because Catwoman is so much more than looks. She's meant to be also scarred, like Bruce, also struggling with Gotham, her love of it, her hate of it, also struggling with morality, also struggling with what it means to be a human, struggling with her background in the comics. It shows how insecure she is, even though she presents herself as like a confident, dominant woman. She has this like self-insecure side that Bruce connects to. They're very similar. They present themselves as one thing, but in reality, they both have a lot of trauma that they're trying to figure out, and they don't have the answers. And I think Anne Hathaway just comes across as like a cute white girl in this. I don't think she has any like essence of Selena Kyle at all. I don't think she's edgy. I think she is really hurts this movie. I also think Bane, like you said, is kind of comical at points. I think there's some plot points that are really low, and in contrast of that, there are some things I love in this movie. There are a lot of moments with Gordon in this movie that I love, and I actually pulled up the last thing Bruce ever says to Gordon in this trilogy is when they're talking about Harvey Dent. And Jim Gordon says, "I never cared who you were." And Batman says, "And you were right." Gordon says, "Shouldn't the people know the hero who saved them?" And Batman says, "A hero can be anyone, even a man doing something as simple and reassuring as putting a coat around a young boy's shoulders to let him know the world hasn't ended." And like Jim Gordon says Bruce Wayne, and then he flies off.
Bruce Wayne.
I even like want to cry at that, because it's like that's like one of the best sections of dialogue to me with Gordon, where it's just Gordon is trying his best, and I love Gordon's character and their dynamic and how he accepts Batman as a vigilante, even though he's a cop, because he understands that Gotham needs more help and the police suck. And he admits to himself, even though he is a cop, that it's not sufficient. Something else needs to happen. The rules aren't good enough. The cops are failing. The cops are corrupt. Anyway, love that dynamic. I think they do a great job finishing that. I think they do a great job finishing Alfred's arc with him. I love the scene in Paris. I know it gets made fun of, but I love, like, I view it as a dream for him. I don't view it as real. I think it was probably meant to be real, but I wish they would have not showed what he was looking at and just showed him looking, and then you could have left it up for interpretation. But I love how it ends with Alfred I love Christian Bale still. So there are moments in this movie I like. It's just overall, there's a lot of problems. So I would agree that it's like a low C for me in terms of Batman movies. It just could have been better. I don't know why Anne Hathaway was in it. Sorry, girl. I would say it to your face. She could be doing better. She like doesn't push herself. She feels so restrained and just like not hitting where she could be in a lot of her roles that I've seen her in.
I mean, like in her defense, in the very beginning, she did have certain moments here and there where you're like, oh, that's a great little thing. Like when she's stealing the pearls and then she has the demeanor. It's like, oh, Bruce, sorry. I know you don't see a lot of people out here. And then he sees that the safe is open. And then she just drops her demeanor and Hans Zimmer's score pops in. And then she's just like, oops, no one told me it was uncrackable. I was like, that is great, but in a 3-hour movie, we need more. We need more.
She shouldn't be like, it was just inappropriate for her to be in it. I was like,
but also to go on your Gary Oldman thing as well too. My favorite moment with Gary Oldman is when we see the Scarecrow yet again, and he's handing down the sentences, and then he's like, "If you think we're gonna go out there on that ice willingly, you got another thing coming." Mm-hmm. So death looks that way. I was like, "Yep." I love that. I love Gordon. It is kind of funny because, like, you could tell, like, Crane is like, this is really the first person that's going to choose death. Mm-hmm. Well, we've never really had that choice.
Yeah.
Death.
Garth, it was Italy.
That would have been that would have been funny if this was like an R-rated movie. And you're like, well, it looks about fucking so. That was like the vibe off of that. Yeah, I agree. I love that line too.
we get one F-bomb as the Batman showed us.
Yes, Tori. Since you've left the Cinefanatics, we decided that we'll loosen up a bit, just a bit.
Oh,
loosey goosey.
So, whose turn is it now? I feel like we're all just like me. Randomly chiming in.
It's me.
Okay,
it's me. It's my time now. So Dark Knight Rises for me, initially when I saw it, I was initially disappointed by this movie. I think for a lot of the reasons that were mentioned, there wasn't enough done with Catwoman. Bane did end up, as Jen mentioned in the comments there, did end up turning into a lovesick puppy. But there was a lot of stuff that did work for me upon a rewatch. When I rewatched it, I was like, you know what? There's a lot about this movie I actually do really like. I do think Bane is still actually a formidable and intimidating presence. The fact that he just straight up breaks his back and he's like butter, which is taken directly from the comics. But the fact that he treats Bruce like butter, essentially, just done. And then just like absolutely everything about him in terms of like most of his face is covered up. So he does. So this plays into like how Tom Hardy is as an actor, just being able to portray feeling, emotion, and intimidation just through his eyes, essentially, which he is fantastic at doing because he's had multiple roles in his career where he's just been eyes. The point is, I was fully intimidated by Bane as a villain, and the story of how it was kind of trying to essentially complete with Talia. He was trying to complete the vision that Ra's al Ghul had at the beginning. I was like, I actually kind of like them kind of going back and trying to complete that circle, because there was a lot that was left undone because Ra's al Ghul died. And in the comics, Ra's al Ghul constantly comes back. And this was an interesting way in the more serious, the more grounded universe of the Nolan movies to actually kind of retouch on that, while also bringing in his daughter and bringing in Bane to try to kind of complete that circle. I just like a lot of things about this in terms of like the story, in terms of the direction they wanted to go with it and how to complete the trilogy. Again, is the movie flawed? It's definitely flawed. It's definitely got flaws. It's, for how long it is, it shouldn't have this many flaws. It would have solved them if it had been a tighter, shorter film. But for what they did do and for the parts of the story that I liked, I was going to put this more of like an A tier for me. But I understand a lot of the points that you guys are making, and I would be okay with it going less than or lower than A tier based on that.
Yeah,
I can be agreeable.
So he wasn't saying he breaks butter. He said he broke his back, and then Batman kind of just turned to butter because he's broken. So he's kind of like melting all over the place.
Treat him like butter.
Which the one sick burn that I love from Bane is that after he's broken his back and he's told him the plan when he's in prison, to cap off that scene, he just like puts his hand and leans on him as he's like boosting himself up, and you're just like, oh, that's savage, Bane. You're a savage to do that to Bruce.
So for my takes on this, I think the biggest problem with this movie is that the one that came before it was so damn phenomenal. It's in the shadow of The Dark Knight, which I feel like that's a comic book title also, Shadow of the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But it literally is. We all watched The Dark Knight, and again, that movie is so well done, so perfect that we're like, all right, what are you gonna do next? And you're like, this wasn't quite the same. This didn't live up to what we were kind of hoping and expecting. It's not bad, but I feel like it's just because of how good The Dark Knight was, it kind of brings down our expectations of The Dark Knight Rises. That aside, not saying that the flaws of this movie are all because of the movie before it. There's some stuff about this movie that's just really off. The storyline for this movie, and I hate mentioning this because I know this is also a thing people say about The Dark Knight. The way that this movie was planned, from like say Bane's point of view, is just outrageous. Like it's like Civil War. Yeah.
People say this. I will say, like, the Gotham police force are supposed to be terrible.
Yeah. So I was going to get to that.
If the police force actually did their job, we wouldn't have Arkham.
Yeah, cops are dumb, particularly in Gotham City.
I was going to bring that up, and there's one other I'm going to bring up here in a second also. But it's just this movie seems to be flawed from like the point of view of the villain's plan. Everything that the villain's doing in this movie, both Bane, Talia, it just seems to be like hinging on the coincidences, which again, that's what Joker did in Dark Knight too. There's so many like insane things that just coincidentally happen to work in Joker's favor, but it kind of makes sense. In The Dark Knight Rises, it doesn't make sense. The cops all going to the sewer at the same time, like 2,000 cops in sewer. First of all, no one has a day off. Every single cop was called in to go work. What? No. And then also, of course, the one that everyone likes to point out is Bruce got out of the pit and then manages to find his way back to Gotham. Who knows how the hell he did that?
But not before tossing the rope to all the killers and the rapists back in the pit.
It's little things like that. Like there wasn't, I don't remember there being anything like that in The Dark Knight that we're all like, wait a minute, this is just too stupid. With the exception, one exception I will say for The Dark Knight is I still find it unbelievable that school bus pulled out of the bank at the very beginning and nobody saw that. Like that, come on. But other than that, like it's little flaws like that, and I feel like that it's kind of insane for them to be able to take over all of Gotham in that way. I know, like Batman Begins, they essentially took over all of Gotham, or more importantly, they took over the Narrows where Arkham Asylum was. But still, what they were doing in Batman Begins affected all of Gotham. This one, they were affecting all of Gotham, but it didn't seem like really that plausible. Like, seriously, nobody standing up to Bane and this army? Like, nobody? Like, there's enough citizens of Gotham to be able to, like, no, we're not doing that. Sit down, shut up. No. It's just, it's so much unplausibility with Dark Knight Rises. It, like, really takes me out of the movie. It is a good movie, though. It is entertaining. It is still a comic book movie. So, therefore, I have to suspend the disbelief on stuff like that because it is a comic book. But it's not quite the best. But
for also
ranking this,
yeah,
I would actually probably want to put this in C if we had a slot available.
Bump down 66. Let's do it.
And me personally, I like Batman 66 more than I like Dark Knight Rises.
I do too.
Dumb. Put
I
it
do
in
agree.
D.
See
66 in D.
Dick it.
Did you say dick it?
Yeah, dick
What
it.
are we dicking, and why are we doing this live on our channel on our stream?
Dick Grayson.
Oh, okay. So what are
Robin.
what are we moving and bumping?
Bump down 66.
No. And we don't have to bump anything. Just put it in D. We all agree we like Batman 66. Well, apart from one of us. We all like Batman 66 better.
I will watch Dark Knight Rises before Forever or Batman 66 every time.
Okay, so
I'll watch.
matter what.
I can watch Batman 66 twice in the runtime that Dark Knight Rises has.
Yes,
and
but
it will still be better.
But certain scenes in Batman 66 feel like the runtime of Dark Knight Rises.
I can't wait for someone to click on this. They're like, do y'all really have Batman Forever above the Dark Knight Rises? Really? Yes,
but
we
all told our reasons why.
Yeah,
there it is.
I wouldn't do that, but hey, here we are.
Okay, 3 more left. Let's move on to a movie I like to call Baviz. Baviz. Dawn of Justice, Baviz. Batman v Superman. Which, I mean, okay, here, right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and call this out. It's referred to as Batman v Superman, not Batman versus Superman. Batman v Superman would imply that they have a court case against one another. Batman versus Superman means that they're fighting each other. So that's just bad nomenclature right there.
Yes, they're fighting each other, which they do for like 2 minutes of the entire movie.
Yeah. So the entire movie's built up on that. And I'm like, okay. Is this me kicking this off, actually?
I kicked off the last one, so I think it's Tori.
Tori.
And Luna.
And Tori and Luna. Talk about Baviz. Baviz.
We don't like Batman v Superman. I hated this movie pretty strongly. I honestly saw it in theaters and then never watched it again and never will. I remember Batman gunning people down with like a machine gun on his car at some point. And I was like, oh, like maybe they'll like address the no kill thing. Because I feel like that's a pretty prevalent pop culture thing that like people understand Batman doesn't kill. So I was like, oh, like I'm open to a movie where he does. I just would like an explanation of like, Joker tortured Jason Todd, and in this rendition, Batman decided to, screw the no kill thing. I'm open to a movie that addresses that issue of like whether it's acceptable to kill a person or not. Like I'm open to that kind of movie where it's like really showcasing how it's not the thing to do, how it just leads down like a very windy road where you end up just being equal to like the Riddler, like in the Batman, where it tries to have that dialogue of like vengeance not really getting anyone anywhere. But it didn't do that. So the whole scene just felt really strange to me. It didn't feel like Batman. It felt like just like a random superhero. And then, I know some Batmans killed people, but I think overall there is an understanding that Batman has like a no kill rule overall in like his character. But
hey, they killed a shark and a dolphin in that movie.
They also killed an octopus.
And octopus, yeah, that's right.
But so he didn't kill the birds.
It was just strange to me to have him like machine gunning people with this car gun. And then the whole Martha thing was just ridiculous. Like people in my theater were laughing. Why'd
you say that name?
Why'd you say that name? I just like didn't feel anything from this movie. I didn't even find it fun. So to me, it's F.
Yeah. Okay, Chris.
I think initially I would have put this movie in like D based on the way that we were doing this, but I would have put it in D with like Batman and Robin. Here's the thing. As a performance of Batman, Ben Affleck, I thought was actually an excellent Batman. I think he performs the character of Batman well. I think he looks like Batman. He is, for me, he was the closest that we've gotten to the animated Batman from the 90s in a live action form. That's the closest that we've gotten for me. that being said, we're not ranking these necessarily on how was Batman portrayed in the movie. We're ranking these based on the movie itself. With that, this movie is not high. This movie is very, very low because this movie made some decisions. It made some choices that it should not have. Doomsday. There's a lot of things that they did with this that they absolutely should not have gone the route of. Lex Luthor. There's so much about this movie that just did not work damn near the entire thing. It was a good portrayal of Batman aside from like the killing thing that Tori brought up there. I thought Ben Affleck looked like Batman. I thought he portrayed Batman well in terms of like the level of brooding necessary. And then the only reason this movie gets any higher for me is just the fighting that was at that warehouse or whatever, where Batman's like taking out the goons.
Everyone talks about the warehouse scene.
That is my Batman action that I loved. That is probably the height of this entire movie for me. The rest of it, even on rewatch, I was like, okay. I guess we decided to make this a movie. So, yeah, I'm gonna say based on where we have everything else right now, let's go ahead and slide that into F.
Yeah, so you pretty much said everything I was gonna say.
Doomsday.
The shot of Lex Luthor putting the Jolly Rancher in like the senator's mouth. Just what? Why?
Wait, I wish to block that scene out. That happens.
Yeah.
So weird.
Kinky.
The whole thing with like Lex is trying to like chat up the senator, what's her face, to get the embargo.
Holly Hunter.
Yeah, Holly Hunter, to get the embargo to bring the kryptonite in. Just what? Why are we talking about economy and politics and just no? I want to see Batman fight Superman. The best thing about this movie was when it was introduced at Comic-Con. When it was introduced, it was read by was it Andre Brower or was it the Allstate guy or whatever that read
Henry Lennox.
Yes, yeah. It was Henry Lennox. Yeah, he read the bit from The Dark Knight Returns, the showdown between Batman and Superman, which is highly used in this movie. He read that bit, and then the lights went out, and then up on the screen was this logo. They showed this up on the screen, and the entire audience just lost their effing minds.
We finally get Batman and Superman in a movie together.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
That definitely reminds me. Anyone who saw the Marvel, I think it was Marvel's Phase 4 announcement back in 2014, when they were hyping up all those movies come out, they showed like the little trailer before announcing Avengers Infinity War Part 1 and 2, and you saw like all these clips and stuff, and then the camera is like zoomed in on the back of the Infinity Gauntlet, and we saw this as it pans out, and you see like Thanos's head coming from around, and the audience is just losing it. Like, I still get chills going back and watching that YouTube video to this day. Same thing with this. I can go back and watch that and just like, that is so good. The movie sucks. God, they how do you take such a great concept, such a great idea, and you just ruin it? So
wasn't there a director's cut that people like laud this movie over? Like there was like an actual like better cut or something of this that
possibly.
The ultimate cut is about 3 hours long as well. It's better. It clarifies a lot of things in terms of Clark Kent's storyline in this, but it's mostly at the end of the day, it's just a longer version of the movie. It's just fine.
I mean, that's what we need, is a longer version of a terrible movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Wonder Woman was great. Wonder Woman was easily the highlight of this movie. I think the way that Henry Cavill's Clark Kent was like studying and trying to figure everything out was done very well. There's even stuff that Bruce Wayne does in the movie, I think it plays out very well. But otherwise, the way it was just all put together in the storyline, just no.
Zod and Doomsday and Lex.
Yeah,
and stuff,
that was just all. That
just...
was all way too insane. Yeah, this movie goes F. Just F this movie. I probably would still probably stick it higher than Batman and Robin though. because I don't watch this movie the same way that I watch Batman and Robin, which is just complete like I'm gonna make fun of this movie.
I'm not mad at that.
I'm never putting on Batman and Robin going, I'm in the mood to watch this. No, every time I've watched Batman and Robin, it's typically something like a watch along or live on stream or with friends, and there's usually alcohol involved and we're making fun of it. I wouldn't necessarily watch Batman versus Superman in that same mindset to make fun of it, but I mean that would be fun too. So
I would never watch this movie if you paid me.
Okay.
Depends on how
What
much.
if we actually
Green
paid
Lab's
you?
in
though?
$100 and watch me not watch it.
Thanks for $100
Mhm.
in the
There
free
you go.
2.5 hours.
Yep.
So do we want to stick it under Batman and Robin, or
I mean, I'm fine with
You
putting it
know,
above.
here's the thing.
has everyone talked about this, or like do we need to? Oh, okay, go on, Andres.
No, for me, it is probably one of the biggest cinematic disappointments I've ever seen in a theater. The moment you have Bruce Wayne, the moment we see Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot yet again, done in slow motion, and then all of a sudden, I mean, here's the thing. I like Snyder as a director, but certain times he can really hit hammer, nail. Boom, boom. Oh my God. All right, we get it. And then the moment that Bruce starts floating up in the air and becomes Bat Jesus, it's like
Bad Jesus.
Yeah, it's Bat Jesus. Come on, guys. but there was a little bit of hope in the first 10 minutes where we see the destruction of Metropolis from the point of view of Batman. So right off the bat, we're like, oh, I get why Batman doesn't trust Superman. Because Superman caused all that destruction. Fight me on this, guys. It's okay. But anyway, here's the thing. Batman and Robin is fun to watch, but it fails over and over again. Whereas BVS, it's trying, but it's failing. And it doesn't know that it's failing. Honestly, it's, in comparison to everything else, it's an F tier for me, but I don't know. I think I slightly enjoy BVS a little more than Batman and Robin, but wherever you guys put it in F, I'm okay with.
I agree with putting it over Batman and Robin.
Why does BVS sound like a porn category?
BVS.
It sounds like a brand of like adult diapers that you go get.
Yeah.
When you lose incontinence. Hey, honey, did you pick up that package of BVS on your way home? Actually, isn't BVS like a brand of underwear, like Tidy Whities or something?
I'm telling you, it sounds like BBW or something. Anyway, I don't know what I just said. I didn't say anything.
Wow.
This is PG-13. I just said initials. You can take it whatever you want it to mean.
Tori, did you cover this already? Also,
yeah, I said it's trash.
Okay,
garbage.
Trash.
So, are we wanting? God, I can't believe we're going to spend time with this. Do we want to stick it above Batman and Robin or under Batman and Robin?
Bottom.
I'm okay with it being under Batman and Robin. Honestly,
I'm okay with it either way. They're both.
Move on to the next one. Leave it where it's at.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what, F tier. Who cares where they're at? They both suck.
Yeah.
So the next one is Everything is Awesome with the Lego Batman. And I know they don't sing that song in the Lego Batman movie, but still. Whose turn is it to start this one? Me?
Mm-hmm.
This movie's just so super silly. I love everything that they do with it. It's just a complete parody of like everything that everything that has come before. It's just so much fun. It's not meant to be taken seriously. It's done very well. Especially if you're someone who suffers greatly from like ADHD, it just bounces around so much that you're like, yeah, this is my jam. That being said, I mean, it's fun, but like I still love a lot of other traditional Batman movies. This isn't, when I'm wanting to sit down and watch a Batman movie, this is nowhere near going to pop up in the forefront of my brain going, I want to watch Lego Batman. I probably would stick this in D, not because it's I feel like it sucks, but just because I appreciate everything else higher than it. Whether it's above Dark Knight Rises, I could probably see putting this above Dark Knight Rises as we have the D D tier as of right now. So, Andres.
This movie won me right off the bat when Batman started singing, and then you have Zach Galifianakis' Joker just going, "Get him before he starts singing!" It's so great, and oddly enough, this movie really sums up the Batman Joker relationship in a completely parody way, where it's like, listen, I don't have just one villain. I have multiple villains. Like, it's like, oh, it really does kind of cover the fact that he's not willing to commit to anything. It's great, but oh my goodness. Also, one of my favorite things that come out of this movie is, how many of you are iPhone users here?
Yeah.
If you grab Siri and you refer to her as Pewter, she will respond to you from quotes from the movie. So
because Siri was credited as the Pewter in the Lego Batman, and that's so great. Siri. Like they credit an AI as the voice in the movie. Hey, Pewter.
Oh my goodness!
Hey, Pewter.
Probably just have to hit the button.
Oh, it says, "How can I help you, Lego Batman?" Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello, Pewter. I am at your service, Lego Batman, sir.
Love it. So good.
That's so great.
So good.
Probably one of my favorite responses is that she goes, I have all your rom-coms and your lobster thermidors ready to go.
Yes. Microwave lobster thermidor, absolutely delectable.
Oh my goodness. But this is, for me, where this movie goes. Oh, man, like, honestly, in the same way that I love Batman 66.
69.
Yeah, we're always going to refer to it as Batman 69. It's just going to happen, guys.
Everything is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're part of a team.
Everything is awesome. When you're living the dream.
Batman 69. Tori.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Oh, he's not done.
Yeah, B for me.
Okay.
I agree with everything that was just said. I love all the villains being incorporated. And also I love this movie is gay AF. This movie is so gay. Like, Joker is so gay. So gay. Like, it just plays on, like, the dynamic between Batman and Joker that's always had, like, a sexual undertone. Like, for a very long time, and no one wants to admit it. And it's just like, sometimes it'll be addressed, like in Arkham, he leaves them like a love song in the credits of one of them, and he just, like, Joker just has always played with that. I mean, we're not going to talk about the Justice League Snyder Cut, but at the end, a reach around is mentioned. I'm just saying, it was always there, and this movie called it out so hard and made it like the entire plot is just Joker trying to, like, get Batman's attention. I love it. So for me, it is like a solid B, high B movie. There are other Batman movies I love more. Again, when I'm going to put one on, this isn't going to be like in the top 3, but Chris and I just watched it the other night, and like, we were a little drunk, and it was great. It was a great time. It was a great movie. It was a great time.
For sure.
Real quick, Chris, before you jump in here, because I don't want people to be ducking out, but as for what Malcolm's saying here, we're not talking spoilers for the new Batman. So even though all of us have seen it, we're not spoilering it because it's still opening weekend, so we're not going to spoil it here. But yeah, Chris, continue with Lego Batman.
Just because I know there's one more movie coming up that I want to rank fairly high.
Well, there's only one more movie, so
I know
exactly down there.
Well, yes. Okay. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. I would say that I would want to slide Lego Batman into that C tier and drop one of those two in the C tier down to D. But I'll say this much: the Lego Batman, I didn't initially like really enjoy it the first time I watched it. Watching it again, a rewatch of it, it's definitely a lot better. For me, it is very silly. It's definitely ADHD the movie for sure, and I think that's something that
it's gay ADHD the movie.
It's gay ADHD the movie.
ADHD.
Oh my god, it is. There's a lot of aspects I love about it. I was initially like put off, like, why is Voldemort and Sauron in this movie? I don't understand what's happening.
Because
ADHD. No reason. No reason.
no reason.
So like diving into it and just like I love like the aspect of, okay, here's the rest of the Justice League. Here's how they treat Batman. They treat him like an outcast, which is dark, depressing, but also kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Superman with his party at the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, and he wasn't invited.
Did you forget my invite?
You forget my invite? Arnett does a fantastic job as Batman here, like he did in the Lego movie.
Oh yeah, he does.
Oh yeah. Just like this movie is like peak satire, and I believe this is still what Lord and Miller were still behind this one as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
they produced it. They didn't write it.
Yeah, so they still had a hand in it. They know how to handle comedy, but I think they're also really low key good at satire. And I think that's something that like really helped out with this movie a whole lot, because this movie just basically was a giant satire of Batman and like comic book movies in general. So
yeah.
Yeah, Ray Fiennes was Alfred instead of Voldemort, and Eddie Izzard was playing Voldemort.
Yeah, when I saw the cast of this, I was like, oh, Ray Fiennes is in this. Okay, he must be voicing the Voldemort. No.
No.
Like, way to subvert expectations right there, just in your cast list. Before you even see the movie, you're like, wait, Voldemort's in this movie too.
Plus,
all that
also
said,
to point out as well too, this is also the first time Zoe Kravitz has played Catwoman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which that was really funny in that meow meow, you're in.
Meow meow.
But it's like completely like different takes on it compared to her in the Batman.
Yeah, 100%. So like this movie, for me, this movie does play back into the, okay, it's got a lot of corny, it got a lot of cheesy into it, but I don't know, because I feel like this movie's more of a satire than 66 was. I like it more. So for me, like for me, I would throw this in the C as the high C and bump one of the other two down into D.
I don't like bumping Batman 66, but I mean,
Do it.
I understand the argument of it being in the C tier as well.
Do it. Do it.
So
come to the dark side.
Low or high C?
High C.
High C.
High C, yeah.
So we're gonna ecto cooler this bitch, and
you're allowed to say bitch.
I was gonna respond a certain way. I'm like, I don't want to say that.
You could say whatever you want as long as you say the word earmuffs. Okay.
Yeah, girl.
Earmuffs, then you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, that's Chris did the safe one. Yeah, girl.
You can say bitch. Yeah, girl.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Yes, respectable woman.
Okay, so
yes.
Oh, yes.
I just see the Batman Forever logo and I immediately have "Hold Me, Throw Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me" stuck in my head.
Kill me.
Yeah. All right. Do it. Final one in here. The last Batman movie. And it better be, because it just came out like 2 days ago. Ish. The Batman. Again, absolutely no spoiler. So all of us here on the panel, just be mindful of that as you talk about this movie.
Batman was a movie.
Yeah, but no, we don't want spoilers. I want everyone watching to still stay here and participate. So
yes, no spoilers.
Who are we starting with first on this one? I've lost track of this.
I have no idea.
I'll go first.
Just pick one.
Andres, go first. Sure.
All right. No spoilers. This, as a Batman fan and as a fan of the comics and as a fan of the whole aspect, that Batman is only a hero by the virtue that he just has really great self-control, but that this is a film where his self-control is being tested, and then also it's really going into the detective aspect sides of him. Paul Dano's Riddler is suitably terrifying at certain points. The relationship between Batman and Gordon has never been stronger. I think it's even better than it's been in Batman Begins, because you feel that camaraderie more than you do Oldman and Christian Bale more than anything else. And Pattinson as Bruce Wayne / Batman is brilliant all the way through. The Batmobile is dead sexy. So
dead sexy.
For me, I have to be true to myself on this one. I would give it an S. I would absolutely give it an S.
Oof.
Ooh.
Tori.
So we saw this movie together, and there were several moments where I was like, ah! Just like freaking out at the room.
Seriously, the entire car chase, Tori was sitting there like, yeah.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, look at it, it has nitro, look at it. Anyway, freaking out. I really, really liked this movie. I think the tweet of this movie, I think Dwayne Burke tweeted it really well.
In summation.
I just had like a brain malfunction there. When he said that it's a really good Batman movie, it's not a great movie. Yes. And I still say that really liking it. I love Batman. So for me, this movie is like very much up there. I really liked Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, first off. He gives Gary Oldman a run for his money, in my opinion. I wanted to see a Black actor depict Gordon for a very long time. I think it makes sense. I think it's interesting. I think it's an interesting dynamic having him with a white police force and a white Batman. I think it makes it like just way more dynamic. I think I feel for him a lot more. I think he's a lot more admirable in a lot of ways. I think like you just get him. He's pained. You feel like he doesn't even understand like what's the right thing to do, but he like knows the right thing to do. And that he's using Batman to like, yes, he's going to be at this crime scene. Yes, he's touching the evidence. Like, even if he's not commissioner yet, he is just like doing the thing that needs to happen. And it must be terrifying, like for him. It's just, I just felt him every time he was on screen. I was excited. I thought he was great. I thought Zoe was great. I don't think she got a lot to do. I think I would love to see her in her own movie. I don't know if she was necessary in this. I think she didn't have a lot of interesting scenes to do. I actually think Bruce Wayne scenes also were similar. There just wasn't a lot for him to do. I didn't have a problem with that because, again, I think this was a Batman movie. I think Batman was terrifying from the opening scene to the end. The way they introduce him, the score made him terrifying. The action was terrifying. Yeah. So to me, this was really well done. I get why people don't like it, though. I get as a movie critic why you have issues. So for me, I would put it in like a low A. I would be okay with it being at B, again, because I understand the issues people had with it. I just got a lot out of this movie. I thought it was really fun overall as a Batman movie.
Chris.
Yeah. I echo a lot of those thoughts too. This movie did for me something that I've been wanting from a Batman movie for a while, and it's something that I don't feel like I got fulfilled in almost any one of these other Batman movies, which is if it's a Batman movie, I want to spend more time with Batman. I understand Bruce is a very important aspect of the Batman character, but most of these other movies, you spend probably at an average of about 60% of the time with Bruce Wayne, maybe 40% of the time with Batman. This movie was easily 90% Batman, 10% Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. And I loved that about this movie because I wanted to spend more time like on my knees, terrified at Batman, like begging that he doesn't kill me, than I do like sitting and watching Bruce Wayne try to figure out this, that, and the other. I love the direction they took on Bruce in this movie, which is, we're still early on in Batman's life. He hasn't quite figured out how to utilize Bruce Wayne yet as the billionaire playboy, whatever, the the math. You see it all over Twitter. They haven't used him.
Playboy philanthropist.
Yes, they haven't figured. He hasn't figured out yet how to be the mask and let Batman be the real person. This Batman is just the real person.
Yeah.
There's so much about that I enjoyed. I thought Robert Pattinson was going to knock it out of the park. He did.
Yeah.
He did a fantastic job. Again, Riddler, like we were saying, I'm going to rehash some of these points. Riddler was absolutely terrifying as well. He was just someone whose brain was broken just enough that you have no idea what he's going to do, when he's going to do it. That one look he gives, I'm not going to dive too much because of spoilers and stuff, but there's that one look he gives at one point, and it's like, oh my God, this man is completely unhinged.
I've did the 2 different screenings, and you could feel just people just go, oh my God.
So for clarification, I don't think it's a spoiler in the fact that we do see Riddler without a mask on at some point in this movie. Yeah. Are you talking about like after when we don't see him with the mask on?
The first scene that you see him without the mask on.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Jen Kemp. He's a terrifying, creepy stalker.
Yeah.
And it was very realistic in the way of like, even though he's still a Batman villain, it was still real, like grounded enough that it really used a lot of like modern day creepy kind of internet weirdos that made you feel like at home with him in a very terrifying way.
Yeah. And there's so much stuff. Like Riddler was fantastic. Colin Farrell's Penguin, unrecognizable. Like they did such a great job with his makeup. Take it easy, sweetheart.
So good. Yeah. So good. And then the vroom vroom scene.
And then the whole car chase was
no, this is not a there's like they like the way that they have the car chase scene, they involve traffic in a really cool way. And I loved it because it's like it's based on New York City, and it's like, yeah, you would be in a car chase with Batman, and you'd still be like, move out of the way, move. Batman is chasing me, please God. Yeah.
The Batman soundtrack brought to you by Ludacris. Move, bitch, get out the way. Get out the way, bitch, get out the way.
Yeah. There was so much about this that was exactly what I was wanting out of a Batman movie. There's still aspects where it's like, I know what I said about like the campiness of the 66. There's still aspects where I'm wondering like in the future, when they carry on this into a sequel, into a franchise from this particular Batman, how do we introduce a character like Mr. Freeze? How do we introduce someone who's a little bit more science fiction based than grounded in reality? And that's
a very tragic story though that they could do.
Yeah, if they're able to introduce the science fiction element and make it believable, then I'm all for it. So then this becomes like the peak Batman franchise for me. But as of right now, I don't think this doesn't top these main 2 Nolan features for me between Dark Knight and Batman Begins. I think those 2 still edge out this movie. But this movie does do a lot that I've been wanting out of a Batman movie. So I would be very willing to put it in the A tier, like just behind Batman Begins.
Okay. So I kind of agree with a lot of this. The one thing I will add, and I said this in our like quick 2-minute like immediately out of the theater review. This movie is basically Seven. If you've seen Seven, it's not a buddy comedy. The buddy cop movie, whatever. The team up between Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. And Seven. Yeah. What's in the box?
What's in the box, Batman?
What's in it? Can I take a second? Like every single time someone does an impression of that scene, they always end up sounding like Jerry Seinfeld.
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in it?
There you go. Point proven right there. I mean, I agree. I love how much there was between the team up of Batman and Gordon in this movie, but it felt a lot like Brad Pitt teaming up with Morgan Freeman in Seven. I will even go so far as to say, if you were to remove anything from the Batman that is Batman-centric, as far as the names, like saying it's Gotham City, like just change it back to Chicago, change all the names to some other name, this movie pretty much would still be the same movie.
Yeah, you could also make the argument that if you took out Rob Pattinson, it could easily be a Humphrey Bogart movie. Easily.
Almost, yeah. I mean, there's definitely some parts of this that heavily rely on the fact that it is the character of Batman in this movie. So it wouldn't make sense, like you wouldn't see Brad Pitt doing some of the stuff that Robert Pattinson does in this movie. But yeah, like for example, the Riddler kept notebooks like John Doe in Seven. A lot of that is very similar to what we've seen in Seven. So that's what my immediate thought walking out of the theater is like, I feel like I just rewatched Seven. Like almost. I think Seven did the story a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, essentially Paul Dano's Riddler is another version of Kevin Spacey's John Doe. It's the same kind of idea. They're doing this for like a higher meaning, a higher virtue type of thing. And it works very well, I feel like, but it's not necessarily a Batman movie. That being said, the stuff about this movie that is expressly Batman, I think it was Chris that said it earlier, we really haven't explored Batman being the world's greatest detective as we have in this movie. And even in that, like, again, I don't want to spoil it, but there's even parts of that where he's like, well, wait a minute. He's like second guessing himself. He realizes he may have made a mistake on something and then goes back and figures it out. It's great that we get to see that, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a Batman movie. And it's still like another movie that's early in Batman's career, which again, like I was saying, that was one of the things, anyone who's familiar with this channel, who's been watching us for a while, that was one of the things that kind of turned me off about this movie before even seeing it. I was like, it's yet another Batman at the beginning of being Batman, trying to figure out his place in like Gotham City and how to prove himself and be like the Dark Knight that everyone wants. Yeah, we've seen this already. Bring me something new. I don't feel like this movie brought that much new to it. It just explored another aspect that really hasn't been fleshed out in a Batman movie before. Otherwise, overall, the look, the feel, especially the music of this movie was so good. Just the score alone was phenomenal.
I don't think since Danny Elfman we've had as iconic of a Batman theme as we've had with this film.
Yeah, and I agree. And I saw people on the internet, especially like in the community, the groups, the circles that we run in, that everyone, like even here in the chat, y'all are all familiar with like the group that we are a part of. I've seen people on Twitter, on the internet, saying that they're listening to the score before even seeing the movie. I was like, that's a sign right there. When you just casually put on the score while you're working on stuff on the computer, or if you're doing household chores or something, that's impressive. And I purposely, Tori, I guess, did that.
Oh, I did that too.
Oh, yeah. I purposely avoided doing that just because I wanted to be blessed by that score while watching it in the movie. Now I'm a convert. I will be going back and listening. I'll probably be taking calls from customers tomorrow while it's playing on my computer right here in front of me, just as a background, which is going to be weird when listening to customers talk about like their complaints and issues and be like,
bum, bum,
yeah, and then you got like the score playing. You're like, oh yeah.
Just don't play the Riddler theme while you're talking to them, because then you'll get very sassy.
Yeah, probably.
Not as smart
I think everyone, like the acting in this movie was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
And like, this isn't a thing I feel like hopefully to cancel me over, but I wasn't a big fan of the fact that we change like a character, say Commissioner Gordon. We change it. Yeah, I know. Good luck on
Don't
this.
do it. Don't do it.
I know. I'm gonna correct myself. It's okay. I am a purist in the fact that I like seeing the characters from the comic books portrayed accurately on the big screen. So when I first heard of Jeffrey Wright playing Commissioner Gordon, I was like, okay. He's a good actor. I completely agree with that. I like Jeffrey Wright. But I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then after seeing the movie, it's like, hands down, easily, one of the best Commissioner Gordon portrayals, even though he wasn't commissioner. I get that. But one of the best.
It's just so easy to refer to him as Commissioner Gordon.
Easily.
A Black
like, this
Gordon,
is up there
not
with...
to be like, that it doesn't define his whole character, but it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And especially with like how we've developed socially, I think people were ready for this in a way that unfortunately they wouldn't have been, say, around the Dark Knight time. I think it just adds a dynamic to it that's really complicated. I think it's really interesting as someone who personally is like not a fan of police. I think it just makes Gordon a lot more sympathetic. You're like, he's trying to do everything he possibly can. And the Gotham police force sucks, but he's a part of it. He believes in something. He's like, to me, it made him like more of like a person first and a cop second. Like he's using the badge to get what he needs to get done. And I don't think he would care if he like lost it. I think he cares more about Gotham City.
I do like, and I don't know if I seriously doubt this was a part of like the idea or the plan, but the takeaway from it is seeing a black Commissioner Gordon or black Jim Gordon in a movie nowadays when it's so prevalent about, like, in real life, we're still reeling off of police corruption, everything going on with like George Floyd. Like, it's so amazing to see like that they did that. They pulled it off. And I love Jeffrey Wright in this movie. I absolutely, my thoughts, feelings, opinions going into this movie about him playing Gordon were absolutely wrong. And I am 100% okay with that. He is just as good as Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon. Jim Gordon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to also even back you up on that as well, Matt Reeves cast Jeffrey Wright 2 years before George Floyd. So he was ahead of the curve on that as well.
That's mind-boggling.
It's mind-boggling, and it also just shows you exactly how well thought this movie is as well, too. Or at least Matt Reeves in terms of his direction of it. But the other thing is just, I mean, for me, my problem with Jeffrey Wright right off the bat is that everything in his career previously didn't necessarily lend itself to Gordon. But he's a talented director. I mean, he's a talented actor himself. So it's like, you know what? Trust in him. He's going to deliver something. And he rose to the occasion. So I absolutely agree with you to a certain extent.
That's
That's
kind of interesting for me because like the second that the casting news for him came out, they said like Jeffrey Wright's playing Jim Gordon. I was like, yes, I can see it. Yep, I'm on board. Like he can even attest to that. Like as soon as they mentioned that, I was like, yes, I think this is actually going to work, and I think it's going to work well. And the movie did exactly what I thought it was going to do, and it worked fantastically.
How do you pronounce the composer of this movie's last name?
Michael Giacchino.
Yeah.
On Twitter, he has his pronunciation, and it's Giacchino.
Giacchino?
I mean, possibly. I've heard that as well. So
it's on his Twitter.
We need to find a YouTube video where he says it. Just like, or maybe he's taking back his name right now, like I am.
Giacchino, yeah.
I forget that J.K. Simmons played Gordon.
Yeah, and his Gordon was just not that good.
He didn't have a whole lot to do.
Mean, he didn't get that much to do, but also on top of that, I don't know. I think they were trying to bite off a little more than they could chew with the Snyderverse in terms of blatant franchising. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Going back to the casting on this, I know the big one that everyone was talking about was Robert Pattinson as Batman, because for the most part, the general public had a hard time seeing that glittery vampire kid as Batman. I think his performance as Batman was absolutely astounding. He did fantastic as Batman. And when he was in costume as Batman, I had to remind myself multiple times throughout the 3-hour runtime of this movie that it was Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm not a huge fan of his Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne, I would say, honestly, reminded me of Bully Maguire from Spider-Man 3. Like, he just looked like he was the Peter Parker that was infected by the black symbiote.
Sad. He was depressed.
I know. He just like, my parents died. I'm sad. Like,
I'd argue that Bruce Wayne wasn't even in the movie. Bruce Wayne wasn't even in this movie. It was just Batman without a mask on.
Yeah, and that's what I think it was too, is like he didn't have that armor of his mask to really be himself.
He doesn't have it yet.
Pretty much everything that we've seen of Robert Pattinson without a mask on in this movie, you've seen in the trailer. Like, they really showed like pretty much all of Bruce Wayne
No
in
spoilers.
the trailer. It's not, but I mean, like, honestly, yeah. I mean, I kind of had an emo phase, but yeah, that was definitely an emo version of Bruce Wayne, and it was a little weird. Like, I don't know if I connected with that quite as much.
I'm in my emo phase right now. What are you talking about?
Yeah, sure. I'm the one who wears all black all the time.
I'm not the one in the emo phase.
But Robert Pattinson's Batman absolutely 100% deserves to be in the upper echelon of Batman performers. So yeah, I liked it. Like, all the actors for the most part. Paul Dano was astounding in his role, even though I don't like the psychotic who's the killer? Is it not Vertigo?
Zodiac.
Like, it was very heavily based off of the Zodiac killer. I don't necessarily like that take on the Riddler. I do like the prim and proper, almost the way Jim Carrey, Frank Gorshin portrayed the Riddler before. I like that. This one, though, he was very scary. And especially when they took the mask off, I was like, I don't think this is going to play as well. And it did. It still played very well. And I absolutely love Paul Dano even more from this. I already liked him as an actor to begin with. I like him even more because of this movie. So,
oh yeah, and you sort of see why the trailers hit his face for the longest time.
Yes, yeah.
Because the moment you see his face, it's just, oh god, yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
like I said.
That being said, though, like I said, overall, I compare this movie to Seven. I think Matt Reeves did a good job of kind of emulating. Man, I've just gone off on this whole tirade. I'm forgetting names here. Who directed Seven?
David Fincher.
David Fincher. I was like Alien 3, Fight Club, Zodiac.
You're doing a lot right now, sweetie. It's okay.
Yeah. So, like, I feel, did we hear prim and proper Jim Carrey? Kind of. Like, it was more of like that suit and tie type of aesthetic rather than just the flat out
like
serial killer John Doe version that we got in this movie.
They may have trouble adapting to their new environment.
Yeah. Okay, maybe not so much the Jim Carrey version, but
the suit that Frank Gorshin wore when he wasn't in the Riddler spandex.
I like the Riddler, like, primarily the Riddler that was in the animated series in the 90s. That was the epitome, the perfect Riddler. So, yeah. I do like this movie. I think it's enjoyable. I'm not sure. Maybe I need another rewatch of it, because I walked out of the theater going, I don't know if I want to rewatch this like anytime soon, but what are you doing?
This is the sign for A, sign language. A.
Oh,
letter
okay.
A tier.
I'm okay with it being in B. The problem with the ranking, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone else, but because this movie just came out, how many other of these movies that are on this tier, on this ranking, have we already seen like multiple times? So many times that we've even lost count. I've lost count of how many times I've watched Batman and Robin, and I've seen it plenty of times. I've seen Batman v Superman so many times already. So, the Batman, I've only seen once.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm not so quick to want to put this quite yet S or even A tier. I would be okay. I honestly would be okay with sticking it in the one empty slot that's available right now.
Drop 89.
I'm
Drop
okay with dropping
Begins.
89.
I want to stick this right in here, and I think it fits perfectly.
No.
Switch it with Begins.
No.
Switch it with
A,
Begins.
the order can change, but I think it should be an A, and Begins can go to B.
Begins. I think Begins still needs to be hanging over 89.
I think Begins has as many problems as the Batman does.
But I feel like
you know what?
Begins is still rooted as a comic book movie, though. The Batman, and that's the other thing. The Batman does not feel like a comic book movie. It feels like a Batman movie, though. A pure crime noir movie with a guy that just so happens to be dropped.
I think the Batman is is a great Batman movie as a Batman movie. I think Batman is a detective, so that makes sense. But I also think it further develops the character's connection to Gotham, his moral understanding of justice versus vengeance versus inspiring the criminals that feels like he has an obligation to defeat, his family's relationship with Gotham. It lays seeds for future projects. It has Catwoman. It has Penguin. I think the Batman and Batman Begins have a similar kind of problem for me. And just because of what the risks that the Batman took, I think I'd feel better switching it with Begins right now, because I think the Batman, again, like the score, you have to think about compared to the Begins score, even though it's great. It's like, when I think about Batman movies, I think the Batman is more definitive and will be remembered as a definitive Batman movie, whereas Begins has the help of the trilogy. We have Begins now in context with The Dark Knight, now within context with The Dark Knight Rises. We know what comes after, so we know when we get Gordon, there's going to be more. It's to me, it's supported by other things. Where the Batman right now, we only have it on its own. It's all new characters. It's all new people depicting the characters that we know. I think it took bigger risks, even though it has problems, in my opinion. Begins does as well. I just think that the Batman shouldn't be as low as the low B tier.
So I'm okay. I could see an argument. I feel like consciously I can sleep easily tonight with where the Batman is right now.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with it being right there too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So we're good with the Batman. Okay, so as we move into the final part of the marquee, is there any part of any of these movies that we feel like we want to shift around? Any good, solid argument as to why something should move from where it's at?
I'd feel better switching 89 with Begins, but I know that y'all are feeling different about that.
I'd feel a little better about switching Forever and 66.
So one half dozen the other for me on that one.
Yeah, Chris is not going to be the go-to for that opinion.
Okay. But if that's denied, then let's just keep it as it is, guys.
I see. So
I'm okay with this.
As far as the 66 versus Forever, I understand the influence of 66. But I do also have that nostalgia factor, the appreciation of what Batman Forever was doing. Maybe if I was a little bit older, I would probably lean more towards Batman 66, but
I'm okay with pretty much all of this. Like Batman 66 for me is low enough for our tier ranking. I think what we got here with and Robin and Batman and Superman, Batman versus Superman at the bottom is perfectly fine. Dark Knight Rises, I personally put it higher, but I will say that I don't care enough like I do Dark Knight or Batman Begins to say that I need that to be higher. I think it's fine where it's at. Lego Batman's good. Batman Forever's good. I'm okay with the Tim Burton Batman movies being where they're at. Everything else I feel like just works perfectly fine for me where it's at.
I agree.
Yeah, I think overall I'm probably okay. I would have argued for 66 being S tier, just because of like what it meant back when it was released. But I understand we're not in that decade anymore. We're not in that realm anymore where that makes sense. We've got like an entire like maybe like 2 generations separated from Batman 66 now. That primarily everyone only understands Batman as the Dark Knight and not the campy Adam West.
We're going on 3 generations if you count by 20 years, 80s,
yeah,
2000s, 2020s.
Well, I mean the breaking point between Batman 66 and Batman 89, because that's the gap right there is between those. That's almost a 2 generation. I mean, Batman 66, you're on the tail end. You're at the very beginning. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Batman 66, you're at the very, very, very beginning of Generation X, while Batman 89, you're pretty much towards the first half of the millennials. So there's a huge, like I would say, generation gap between those. I don't know. I feel okay kind of where everything's at right now.
I'm perfectly fine with everything.
Yep.
It was contentious in the beginning, but I think we're all accepting of where
Chris Adams.
Chris coming in with the Batman 66 take, and look where it ended up at the end of the tier ranking. Suck it, everybody.
Well, I mean, didn't like 89 or Mask. Did you like Mask or Phantasm?
Yeah, but I didn't think I was actually gonna get my way on all of that. I knew I wasn't gonna get my way on all that, but I'm okay with where stuff's at.
So that's where this is where it's gonna lie for the Cinefanatics. I'm gonna try to probably clean up this image, and I should have this out on Twitter. If not, well, probably not later tonight because I want to eat and go to bed. But I'll probably have this up tomorrow. I actually want to put this one out because I feel like this has been a very successful, if not lengthy, Marquee episode. So that's where it's going to go.
About the same length as the Batman, actually.
Almost, yeah, 3 hours of talking about Batman, and look where we're at. So,
y'all want to see
this?
Went
on. The makeup's coming off, sort of.
Yeah,
maybe.
Just.
Anyways, swapping these real quick.
Whoop, whoop.
So yeah, that's gonna do it for the Marquee tonight. Man, that was. I'm actually really, really impressed by where some of these choices laid. Now, I will say, yeah, I know. I will say I was going into this really hoping that out of the S tier, we would be primarily looking at Dark Knight and Mask of the Phantasm. So I'm glad and happy that what I thought was going to happen did end up happening with that. I would have liked to have seen Batman Forever a little higher, but are you taking off the makeup and making like a Rorschach test out of it or something?
That's what I was about to say. What do you see?
What do you see?
Rorschach is another DC character that like he's only been in one movie or so we're probably not ranking that.
Rorschach's Journal.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm kind of happy where that all lied. So yeah.
But in all honest reality, we would put a lot of these movies in S&A just out of sheer enjoyment.
Yeah, and as Errolowl Rachel was saying in the chat, if we had the ability to break the two, and I know we do have the ability, but to break the tier ranking rules of only 2 per tier, yeah, there probably would have been like
They would have all been S through B except for
like
the Schumacher
Batman
movies.
and Robin and BVS is at the bottom still. So it's kind of interesting to see how everyone's opinion of these movies. These movies are definitely like very personal to a lot of people, so it's kind of interesting to see how your personal takes are in this. So anyways, that's gonna do it. Let's start with Andres. Where can we find you, sir?
Well, thank you so
Besides
much
on the Dark Knight set.
All right. It was a lot of fun though. But yeah, no, thanks so much for letting me come on board and talking Batman, man. I mean, anytime it's Batman or anytime it's comic books in general, I'm always always down to come down, man.
Down to clown.
Tori.
Down to clown. No, he said down to clown. He's not done, isn't he?
Okay.
Joker.
Yeah. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Guy J Ghost, GALLEGHOST, just to clarify. But yeah, you can also find me on Twitch as Guy J Ghost 209. You can also find me on Film on Tap with Nancy Rodriguez and Tom Chowdash, where we talk movies. This upcoming episode, we're gonna have Khan come on board and talk the Batman with us. So that's gonna be really fun. You can also find me on High Voltage Media on their YouTube page, where I do several shows on there. We're going to be debuting our episode of the Masterpiece Collection with when we're going to be talking about Jaws with Jen Kemp as well too. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's pretty much where you can find me right now.
Tori.
Am I a pretty girl now?
Saying down the clown as she takes off her clown makeup.
On camera with no makeup. That's scary. Yeah, find me at Tori X Rose on Twitter. I guess I'm controversial. I'm a controversial political figure now.
Good job.
Since I've left the Cinefanatics, some things have happened, and now I'm pretty controversial. Follow me, Tori X Rose on Twitter, Instagram. I'll be around doing some stuff, being a controversial figure. I'm going to end it there.
Drink every time Tori says controversial.
Yeah, I'm very antagonistic, you know, like I'm really difficult to work with.
Tori, you may have left the Cinefanatics, but you're still a part of the Cinefanatics in our heart.
Yes, thank you. Also, I like Jake Iacovetta's comment about was that a cloth or a paper towel? Basically both. The quicker picker upper.
The quicker, the thicker,
Quilted.
quicker picker upper.
Quilted.
Can we sing that song, or are we gonna get
Quilted quicker picker upper?
Quilted quicker picker upper.
Thicker with two C's.
You know, we're here about the Batman, not about paper towel commercials. Anyways, moving on.
Yep.
Cool.
We nailed it.
Awesome. As for us, we are the Cinefanatics. You can follow us at Cinefanatics MLP on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow me at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, which I just released today. My personal ranking of all of these movies. So go see what I would have personally done had this entire episode been just me all by myself, which would have been boring as hell. But I feel like, yeah. Anyways, yeah, follow me there. Chris.
You can find me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, where I also have a ranking of Batman movies where you can go yell at me in my comments on Letterboxd as to why you hate the fact that I have 66 and 89 at the bottom of the list. I don't care. Give my Letterboxd activity. Go for it. But also, you can yell at me at twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP, where I am streaming from damn near almost every day at this point, just because I really enjoy it. So come hang out with me over there. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there, too. So we're going to start doing a family game night here pretty soon, so you're going to want to be subbed on the channel to be a part of that.
Yeah. As for Cinefanatics things, we do have patreon.com/Cinefanatics. Hop on that. On the $5 tier, we have the movie watch along, which will be on the 17th of this month. The poll for which movie we're going to be watching will be up on Twitter at Cinefanatics MLP tomorrow. So make sure you vote on that and join at the $5 tier to be actually a part of that. We do have movie trivia hangout that's going to be coming up pretty soon as well. Anyways, yeah, I think that's about it for this. Make sure you join us on the Tagline on Wednesday, which will probably do a spoiler review of the Batman, which I can't really imagine talking any more about the Batman than we already have tonight, but it's going to be possible. We're probably going to do it this Wednesday, spoiler talk. So make sure you go see the Batman and then join us Wednesday night for the Tagline. Otherwise, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you, every single person that has been here in the chat. Like, geez, like I'm really happy with how this episode went. Y'all are all active. Y'all had like great things to say. I appreciate y'all's takes on my brother's terrible takes. And that's gonna do it for tonight. So thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for watching. We will see y'all Wednesday for the Tagline. Good night.
Hasta luego.